We think we know our own minds, steering through life with deliberate choices and clear thoughts. But what if most of who we are lies hidden beneath the surface? Scientists once believed the conscious mind was the captain of the ship, making decisions with careful logic. They were wrong. Reality is far stranger and more mysterious. The vast majority of mental activity happens in darkness, beyond awareness, shaping everything from heartbeat to habit, without asking permission. Your subconscious mind is not a quiet passenger. It is the silent author of your life, writing stories you will never read but always live. This video will explore how this hidden realm operates, revealing the invisible forces that guide you through every moment. If you like these videos, I would appreciate if you clicked like or subscribed, as it's important for the channel and it helps others find it too, just like you did. Thank you. Now, let's get started. Deep beneath our conscious awareness, something extraordinary operates around the clock. Nearly everything that makes us human unfolds in a realm we rarely glimpse, a vast territory of mental activity that shapes our existence in ways we might never fully grasp. When you consider the sheer scope of what happens in your mind, the numbers become almost overwhelming. Scientists have discovered that conscious thought, the part of your mind that reads these words right now, represents only a tiny fraction of your brain's activity. About 5% to be precise. The remaining 95% churns away in darkness, managing your life from behind an invisible curtain. This hidden system never takes a break. Right now, as you listen, it coordinates your heartbeat, regulates your breathing, maintains your posture, and processes countless sensations you'll never consciously notice. It sorts through memories, filing away some details while letting others fade. It monitors your surroundings for threats, ready to alert you instantly if something seems wrong. The philosophical implications are staggering when you really think about it. We walk through life believing we're in control, that our conscious minds are the captains of our ships, yet the reality appears quite different. Most of our mental universe operates beyond our reach, like an enormous iceberg where consciousness is merely the visible tip. Consider how decisions actually unfold in your brain. You might feel like you weigh options carefully, then choose a path forward. But brain imaging reveals something fascinating and perhaps unsettling. Several seconds before people report making a decision, their brains already show patterns of activity pointing toward that choice. The subconscious mind appears to be preparing, organizing, and even deciding before consciousness gets involved. This doesn't necessarily mean free will is an illusion, but it does suggest our relationship with choice is more complex than it feels. Perhaps consciousness acts more like a narrator than a director, telling us stories about decisions that were already taking shape in deeper regions of the mind. The subconscious gathers information from memory, emotion, and experience, then presents the result upward, as if the conscious mind had altered it from scratch. What makes this even more remarkable is that this hidden realm never sleeps. When you drift off at night, your conscious mind retreats, but the subconscious continues its tireless work. It stands guard, monitoring your environment for anything that might require your attention. A strange sound, an unusual smell, a change in temperature. All of these register in the sleeping brain, ready to pull you back to wakefulness if needed. During these nighttime hours, your subconscious also becomes a kind of librarian, organizing the day's experiences into long-term storage. It strengthens the neural pathways associated with skills you practiced, which is why sleeping after learning something new can actually improve your performance. Musicians often find that difficult passages become easier after a night's rest, not because they practiced more, but because their sleeping brains rehearsed the movements unconsciously. Dreams emerge from this constant activity, weaving fragments of memory, emotion, and random neural firing into the strange narratives that visit us in sleep. These nocturnal stories often reflect unresolved concerns or recent experiences, though their meanings remain largely mysterious. What's certain is that dreaming represents just one visible sign of the tremendous work happening beneath conscious awareness every night. Your body's essential functions never pause during sleep either. Heart rate, breathing, temperature regulation, hormone production, all of these continue under subconscious control. In a sense, sleep isn't really rest at all, but rather a shift change in the mind. The conscious system steps aside while the subconscious takes the night shift, ensuring survival and maintenance continue uninterrupted. This creates an interesting paradox about rest itself. We think of sleep as a time when our minds shut down, when we become temporarily absent from the world. Yet the reality is that our brains remain remarkably active throughout the night, just in ways we cannot perceive or remember. We wake each morning with refined skills, processed emotions, and renewed clarity, all gifts from a mind that never truly sleeps. The subconscious also serves as an enormous repository for habits, those automatic behaviors that make daily life possible. Walking, driving, typing, brushing your teeth. These activities become so ingrained that they require almost no conscious attention. This frees up mental resources for more complex tasks. But it also means that much of our daily behavior unfolds on autopilot, guided by patterns established long ago in the depths of the mind. Even our social interactions are heavily influenced by subconscious processes. First impressions form within milliseconds, long before conscious thought can intervene. We pick up on subtle facial expressions, body language, and vocal tones without realizing it, then feel instinctive likes or dislikes that seem to come from nowhere. The subconscious mind appears to be a remarkably sophisticated social computer, reading cues and making judgments that consciousness only becomes aware of after the fact. Memory itself operates largely in this hidden realm. You can probably recall your childhood home, the sound of a loved one's voice, or the taste of your favorite food without any effort. These memories feel instantly accessible, as if they were sitting on the surface of your mind, waiting to be retrieved. But the process of remembering involves complex networks of neurons firing in precise patterns, all coordinated by systems you cannot consciously control or observe. What emerges from all of this is a picture of human consciousness that is both humbling and awe-inspiring. We are far more complex than we feel, operating with vast unconscious machinery that makes our daily experience possible. The part of us that worries, plans, and reflects represents just a small window into an enormous mental landscape that extends far beyond our direct perception. When you brush your teeth each morning, something remarkable happens beneath your awareness. Your conscious mind might be planning the day ahead, but deep below, neural pathways fire in perfect sequence. Each bristle stroke follows a pattern carved by thousands of repetitions. This isn't coincidence. It's your subconscious at work. The human brain operates like a vast corporation with two distinct departments. The conscious mind, our spotlight of awareness, handles maybe 50 pieces of information at once. Meanwhile, the subconscious processes millions of signals every second. It's monitoring your heartbeat, adjusting your posture, filtering background noise, tracking movement in your peripheral vision, all while you remain completely unaware of this tremendous activity. Think about learning to drive. Those first lessons demanded every ounce of concentration. Check mirrors, signal, brake gently, watch the road. Your conscious mind juggled each action separately. But after months of practice, something shifted. The steering wheel became an extension of your hands. Your foot found the brake without thought. The subconscious had quietly absorbed these skills, freeing your conscious mind for other tasks. This transfer happens through repetition. Neural pathways strengthen each time an action repeats. Eventually, these pathways become so well worn that behaviors flow automatically. Scientists call this procedural memory, but it's really the subconscious taking notes. Every repeated action gets filed away in its vast library of automatic responses. The subconscious doesn't judge these patterns. It simply records them. A habit of checking your phone every few minutes gets encoded just as thoroughly as a habit of morning exercise. Both become grooves in your neural landscape, paths of least resistance that your brain follows without question. Breaking habits proves difficult precisely because of this system. The old pathways remain intact, ready to activate at the slightest trigger. Creating new habits means carving fresh grooves deep enough to override the existing ones. It's like trying to redirect a river that's flowed the same course for years. Your earliest experiences carved the deepest grooves of all. During those first few years of life, your brain formed connections at breathtaking speed. 2-year-olds create nearly 2 million new neural connections every second. Each interaction, each moment of comfort or distress, left its mark on developing neural networks. These early imprints often escape conscious memory. Most people remember almost nothing before age 3 or 4, yet those experiences live on in the subconscious, influencing how we approach relationships, handle stress, and interpret the world around us. A child who felt consistently safe might carry an underlying sense of trust through life. Another who experienced unpredictability might develop heightened vigilance that persists into adulthood. Psychologists sometimes describe these as emotional fingerprints, unique patterns pressed into our neural clay while it was still soft. Unlike explicit memories with clear details and storylines, these implicit memories exist as feelings, tendencies, automatic reactions. They're written in a language the conscious mind can't easily read. Standing in a crowded room demonstrates this hidden processing power beautifully. Dozens of conversations swirl around you, footsteps echo, music plays, but you hear only what captures your attention. Yet your subconscious quietly monitors it all. Should someone call your name from across the room, you'll hear it instantly. The subconscious was listening all along, ready to redirect your attention when needed. This selective filtering protects us from sensory overload. Imagine if every sound, sight, smell, and sensation demanded conscious attention simultaneously. You'd be paralyzed by the flood of information. Instead, the subconscious acts like a sophisticated screening system, presenting only what seems relevant while maintaining awareness of everything else. Your body temperature, blood pressure, breathing rate, all adjust constantly, without conscious input. The subconscious orchestrates this biological symphony while you focus on reading, talking, or thinking about dinner plans. It's multitasking on a scale that makes our most advanced computers look primitive. This raises profound questions about the nature of self. If so much of our behavior flows from subconscious patterns, how much control do we really have? Are we the authors of our actions, or are we following scripts written by countless repetitions and early experiences? The answer likely lies somewhere between complete control and complete automation. Understanding the subconscious offers both humility and hope. Humility because it reveals how much of our lives unfolds beyond conscious direction. Hope because it shows that change, while difficult, remains possible. The same system that maintains old patterns can be trained to create new ones. Perhaps the most remarkable aspect is how seamlessly these two systems work together. The conscious mind sets intentions while the subconscious executes the details. When you decide to walk somewhere, you don't consciously coordinate each muscle contraction. The subconsciousness handles the mechanics, while consciousness focuses on the destination. This partnership between awareness and automation may be one of evolution's greatest achievements. It allows us to learn complex skills until they become effortless, freeing mental resources for creativity, problem solving, and adaptation. Without this ability to automate repeated actions, human civilization would be impossible. Every expert, from surgeons to musicians to athletes, relies on this principle. Years of practice move critical skills from conscious effort into subconscious mastery. The violinist's fingers find each note without thought. The surgeon's hands move with practiced precision. Consciousness provides the artistry, while the subconscious supplies the technical foundation. Deep beneath the surface of awareness, your brain operates like a silent sentinel, processing threats at speeds that would leave conscious thought far behind. This hidden guardian doesn't wait for permission or analysis. It simply acts. When danger might be lurking, milliseconds can mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. Your subconscious mind understands this ancient truth better than any modern logic ever could. The moment a shadow moves in an unexpected way, specialized circuits in your brain spring into action. These networks have been carved by evolution itself, shaped across countless generations of ancestors who faced very real predators. Your heart begins to pound, your muscles flood with tension, adrenaline courses through your system, all before your conscious mind has even registered what's happening. It's a remarkable biological inheritance, this lightning-fast response system that treats every potential threat as if your life depends on it. Sometimes this leads to embarrassing false alarms. You jump at a coat hanging on a door, or freeze when a garden hose looks like a snake. But here's the fascinating thing about how evolution works. It's always better to overreact than to be caught off guard. The cost of being startled by a harmless object is virtually nothing compared to the price of hesitating when real danger appears. Your subconscious operates on this simple principle: safety first, accuracy second. This same hidden processing power that protects you also fuels some of humanity's greatest achievements. Creative breakthroughs often seem to appear from thin air, like gifts from some mysterious muse. A composer wakes up with a melody fully formed in their mind. A scientist suddenly understands a complex problem while taking a casual walk. An artist finds the perfect solution while standing in the shower, not thinking about their work at all. These moments of inspiration aren't actually magic. They're the result of your subconscious mind working tirelessly in the background. While your conscious thoughts move on to other things, deeper mental processes continue churning through the problem. They pull from your entire library of memories, experiences, and emotions, making connections that conscious analysis might never discover. The subconscious doesn't think in straight lines. It weaves unexpected patterns, linking ideas that seem completely unrelated on the surface. Psychologists have a name for this phenomenon: incubation. It's the period when you step away from a difficult problem and let your mind wander elsewhere. Artists and inventors have known about this process for centuries, even without understanding the science behind it. They trust that if they give their minds enough space and time, answers will eventually bubble up from somewhere deep inside. In many ways, creativity is simply learning to listen to what your subconscious has been quietly figuring out all along. But the hidden influence of your subconscious extends far beyond protection and creativity. It's constantly absorbing information that never quite reaches your awareness. Images that flash too quickly to register consciously, sounds too faint to notice, scents so subtle they barely register. All of these can still be detected and processed by your subconscious mind. These subliminal inputs slip past your conscious filters, like whispers in a crowded room. Even though you might not notice them, these hidden signals can still influence your mood, your preferences, even your behavior. A barely audible sound might make you feel more alert without you knowing why. A faint aroma could trigger a sudden craving that seems to come from nowhere. Researchers have demonstrated that these unnoticed details can nudge our choices in measurable ways, though they're more like gentle suggestions than controlling commands. This reveals something profound about the nature of human experience. You're constantly swimming in a sea of information that your conscious mind never fully processes. Like invisible threads, these subliminal influences weave themselves into the fabric of your thoughts and feelings. Even when you think you've completely ignored something, some part of your mind has quietly filed it away, ready to color your emotions and influence your decisions later on. It makes you wonder how much of what we call free will is actually the result of countless hidden influences we're not even aware of. Your subconscious is always listening, always watching, always learning, building a rich inner world that shapes your conscious experience in ways you might never fully understand. In this sense, you're never truly alone with your thoughts. You're accompanied by this ancient, wordless intelligence that's been your companion since the very beginning of human consciousness. Your face betrays you in ways you never realize. Beneath the surface of every expression lies a complex system of involuntary signals, tiny muscular movements that happen faster than thought itself. These fleeting moments, lasting mere fractions of a second, reveal the emotions you might desperately want to conceal. The muscles around your eyes contract slightly when genuine annoyance surfaces, even while your mouth maintains a polite smile. Your eyebrows might flash upward for just a millisecond when surprise hits, before conscious control takes over and smooths your features back into composure. What makes this phenomenon so fascinating is how completely automatic it all is. Your conscious mind has absolutely no say in these split-second revelations. They emerge from somewhere deeper, from neural pathways that operate entirely outside your awareness. This creates an interesting paradox in human interaction, where two conversations happen simultaneously. There's the one you choose to have with words, carefully selected and deliberately arranged. Then there's this other dialogue, written in microscopic facial movements that tell a completely different story. Evolution carved these systems into us for reasons that go back millions of years. In prehistoric environments, being able to read genuine emotion versus deception could mean the difference between cooperation and betrayal, between safety and danger. Those tiny facial signals served as an honesty enforcement mechanism, a biological lie detector that helped our ancestors navigate complex social situations. Even today, though most of us aren't trained to consciously notice these microsignals, they still influence how we feel about each other in ways we can't quite explain. Your body knows things before your mind does. This might sound strange, but consider how often your posture shifts moments before you become consciously aware of an emotional change. When worry begins to creep in, your shoulders start their upward journey toward your ears before you've even identified what's bothering you. Your chest might tighten, and your breathing might become more shallow, all while your conscious thoughts are still focused on something completely unrelated. This anticipatory response reveals something profound about how human consciousness actually works. We like to imagine that thoughts lead to feelings, which then create physical responses, but the reality is far more intertwined and mysterious. Your subconscious mind constantly monitors both internal states and external environment, making adjustments to your physical posture based on information you haven't consciously processed yet. When excitement builds, your spine naturally straightens and your chin lifts slightly, preparing your body for action before you're even aware that something exciting is happening. The relationship flows in both directions too. Deliberately changing your posture can actually influence your emotional state, tricking your subconscious into generating different feelings. Standing taller genuinely makes most people feel more confident, not just because of social expectations, but because the subconscious interprets that physical position as evidence of strength and capability. Relaxing your shoulders can reduce anxiety levels, as your deeper mind reads that physical cue is a signal that danger has passed. This creates an ongoing conversation between your conscious intentions, your subconscious processes, and your physical form. None of these systems operate in isolation. They're constantly feeding information back and forth, creating a complex web of influence that shapes your experience of being alive in ways you rarely notice. Your posture right now is simultaneously reflecting your current emotional state and subtly influencing what that emotional state becomes next. Meanwhile, even in moments of complete relaxation, part of your brain never stops working. While you're absorbed in a conversation or lost in daydreaming, ancient neural circuits continue their vigilant scanning of everything around you. This surveillance system operates completely below the threshold of consciousness, most of the time filtering through thousands of sensory inputs every second. A car door slams 3 blocks away, footsteps echo in a distant hallway, shadows shift as clouds move across the sun. Your conscious mind ignores almost all of this information, but your subconscious catalogs every detail. This constant environmental monitoring served our ancestors well in landscapes filled with genuine physical threats. Predators, hostile neighbors, dangerous weather patterns. All of these required split-second awareness to survive. The humans who developed the most sensitive and reliable threat detection systems were the ones who lived long enough to pass their genes forward. Today, we've inherited these same hyper-vigilant neural networks. Even though saber-toothed tigers no longer lurk behind every tree, your modern subconscious applies this ancient alertness to contemporary situations. It picks up on subtle changes in people's voices during phone conversations, notices when the usual sounds of your neighborhood are missing or different, registers when someone's walking pace behind you doesn't quite match the normal rhythm of casual strolling. Most of the time, these observations never reach conscious awareness, but they influence your general sense of comfort or unease in ways you can't quite pinpoint. Sometimes this background monitoring breaks through into consciousness as what people call intuition or gut feelings. That sudden urge to look over your shoulder, the inexplicable sense that something isn't quite right about a situation, the immediate positive or negative reaction to someone you've just met. These responses feel mysterious because they emerge from pattern recognition systems that operate far below conscious thought answers to vast libraries of stored experiences and drawing conclusions faster than logical analysis ever could. Your brain constantly processes information beneath the surface of awareness, creating what many people experience as gut feelings or hunches. These moments when you suddenly know something, without quite understanding why, aren't mystical experiences. They're actually your subconscious mind at work, sifting through years of accumulated data at lightning speed. Think about how a seasoned physician might walk into a room and immediately sense something is wrong with a patient, long before running any tests. Or consider how a chess grandmaster glances at a board and instantly sees the winning move, while beginners struggle to understand even basic strategy. These aren't supernatural abilities. They're examples of pattern recognition happening so fast and so deep that conscious thought never catches up. Your subconscious operates like a massive library that never sleeps, constantly filing away every experience, every detail, every subtle cue you encounter throughout your life. Most of these memories never surface to conscious awareness, yet they remain stored, ready to influence future decisions. When you face a new situation, this hidden archive springs into action, comparing current circumstances against thousands of previous experiences, searching for matches and similarities. The fascinating thing is, this process happens entirely outside your conscious control. You can't force intuition. You can't deliberately access these subconscious comparisons. The answer simply emerges, often as a physical sensation, a feeling in your gut, or a sudden certainty that seems to come from nowhere. What feels like magic is actually just your brain working faster than your conscious mind can follow. This raises intriguing questions about the nature of knowledge itself. How much of what we think we consciously decide is actually driven by subconscious processes we'll never fully understand? Perhaps true wisdom lies not in trying to analyze every decision, but in learning to trust the sophisticated processing power that operates beneath our awareness. The connection between smell and memory reveals another layer of subconscious complexity. A single whiff of something familiar can instantly transport you across decades, bringing back not just images, but entire emotional landscapes from your past. The scent of fresh bread might suddenly fill you with the warmth of your grandmother's kitchen, complete with the feeling of being small and safe and loved. This happens because your olfactory system takes a direct route to brain regions that handle emotion and memory, bypassing many of the filters that other senses encounter. When you see or hear something familiar, your conscious mind usually gets involved analyzing and categorizing the experience. But smells slip past these gatekeepers, triggering responses before you even realize what's happening. Scientists have a name for this phenomenon, honoring the writer who first captured its essence in literature. Marcel Proust described how the taste and smell of a small cake soaked in tea could unlock an entire world of forgotten childhood memories. Flooding back with vivid intensity, this connection between sensory experience and subconscious recall shows how deeply intertwined our past and present really are. You might walk past a bakery and suddenly feel inexplicably happy, or catch a whiff of a particular cologne and feel instantly uneasy, without consciously remembering where you've encountered that scent before. These emotional responses emerge from the subconscious, which has carefully catalogued not just the smell itself, but the entire context surrounding it, the people present, the emotions felt, the significance of the moment. This suggests something profound about human experience. We're not just living in the present moment, we're carrying the emotional echoes of countless past moments, all layered together in ways we rarely recognize. Every breath brings the possibility of unlocking memories we didn't even know we still carried. The concept of muscle memory offers another window into subconscious learning. Despite its name, muscle memory isn't actually stored in your muscles at all. It lives in the neural pathways of your brain, in circuits that become so well rehearsed They operate almost independently of conscious thought. Watch someone who learned to type on an old-fashioned typewriter. Their fingers still dance across a keyboard with remarkable precision, even though they might struggle to tell you where specific letters are located. The conscious mind has forgotten the layout, but the subconscious preserves the patterns, the sequences, the subtle timing that makes skilled typing possible. Musicians experience this in particularly striking ways. A pianist might sit down at an instrument after months away and find their fingers remembering pieces they thought they'd forgotten. The conscious mind might struggle to recall the melody, but the subconscious guides each movement with startling accuracy. The hands seem to know something the mind doesn't, moving through complex passages as if guided by invisible intelligence. Athletes describe similar experiences, moments when conscious thought fades away and performance becomes effortless. A basketball player sinking shot after shot, a figure skater executing a perfect routine, a surgeon performing delicate operations, all tap into this same phenomenon. The subconscious takes control, drawing on thousands of hours of practice, compressed into smooth, automatic responses. This kind of learning runs much deeper than memorizing facts or following instructions. It's about embedding knowledge so thoroughly that it becomes part of your neural architecture, accessible without conscious effort. Once established, these patterns can persist for decades, even without regular use. People who learn to ride bicycles as children can usually hop back on after years away, their subconscious preserving the complex balance and coordination required. This persistence hints at something remarkable about human adaptability. We're not just conscious decision makers stumbling through life. We're walking repositories of accumulated skill and knowledge, most of it operating below the threshold of awareness. Every movement, every response, every split-second reaction draws on this vast subconscious foundation. Perhaps this explains why mastery in any field requires not just intellectual understanding, but patient, repetitive practice that gradually shifts knowledge from conscious effort to subconscious flow. The goal isn't just to know what to do, but to know it so deeply that doing becomes as natural as breathing. When you watch a tennis match, something remarkable happens in those split seconds. When a player returns a blazing serve, the ball rockets across the net at speeds that would leave most of us frozen, yet somehow the racket meets it perfectly. This isn't magic, it's your subconscious mind working faster than thought itself. The conscious brain, for all its brilliance, moves like molasses compared to the lightning-quick reflexes hidden beneath awareness. While you deliberate over what to have for lunch, your subconscious processes thousands of tiny signals, keeping you balanced, breathing, alive. In sports, this speed difference becomes a matter of victory or defeat. A soccer goalkeeper faces a penalty kick with barely 0.2 of a second to react. There's no time to think, no moment for strategy. The body simply moves, guided by something deeper than conscious control. Athletes describe this feeling as moving without thinking, as if their bodies knew what to do before their minds caught up. This phenomenon reveals something profound about how we're built. Hours of practice don't just improve technique, they carve neural pathways into the subconscious until complex movements become as automatic as breathing. The conscious mind becomes a narrator, telling the story of what just happened rather than directing the action. It makes you wonder how much of what we call skill is really just teaching our hidden minds to take over when speed matters most. The partnership between conscious and subconscious isn't equal, it's specialized. One handles the quick decisions, the other makes sense of them afterward. Speaking of the subconscious at work, dreams offer us a window into this hidden realm when it's truly unleashed. Every night, as your conscious mind shuts down, something fascinating begins. The subconscious starts experimenting, playing with the day's leftover thoughts, like a child with building blocks. Those strange dream narratives aren't random chaos, they're your hidden mind testing possibilities. A stressful conversation might replay as a chase scene. An unsolved work problem might appear as a puzzle involving talking animals. The subconscious speaks in symbols because it's freed from the logic that constrains waking thought. During sleep, this deeper layer of mind can combine ideas in ways that would seem ridiculous during the day. It rehearses scenarios, processes emotions, and sometimes stumbles onto solutions that eluded conscious effort. Many scientists believe dreams help consolidate memories and regulate feelings, turning the chaos of daily experience into something more manageable. The bizarre imagery that fills our sleeping hours represents the subconscious reshuffling life's puzzle pieces, searching for patterns and meaning. While not every dream carries deep significance, they all reveal that even in rest, the hidden mind stays busy, working through the unresolved stories that follow us from day to day. This constant background processing touches on something almost philosophical about human nature. We like to think we're in control, that consciousness drives the ship, but dreams suggest otherwise. They show us a mind that never truly sleeps, always working, always experimenting with possibilities we haven't consciously considered. The malleability of this hidden realm becomes even more apparent when we look at hypnosis. Under hypnotic states, something shifts in the usual balance between conscious and subconscious awareness. The chattering, analytical surface mind quiets down, and deeper layers become more accessible to outside influence. Contrary to popular myths about mind control, hypnosis doesn't surrender your will to someone else. Instead, it creates a focused state where the subconscious becomes more receptive to suggestion. People under hypnosis remain aware, but their attention narrows like a spotlight, allowing access to processes usually hidden from view. This focused state has proven useful for addressing pain, phobias, and stubborn habits by speaking directly to the subconscious patterns that drive behavior. A smoker trying to quit faces not just conscious desire, but subconscious routines built over years. Hypnosis can reach those deeper patterns, offering alternative pathways that bypass normal resistance. The fact that hypnosis works at all reveals something striking about human nature. So much of what we do stems from hidden processes, automatic responses we never consciously chose. With the right approach, these buried patterns prove surprisingly flexible, willing to adopt new directions when presented skillfully. This raises questions about free will and choice that philosophers have debated for centuries. If our subconscious drives so much behavior, how free are our conscious decisions? The relationship between these layers of mind resembles a democracy where most citizens remain silent, letting their representatives speak while quietly influencing outcomes from behind the scenes. The speed of subconscious processing also explains why gut feelings often prove correct. That immediate sense about a person or situation draws on pattern recognition, happening too fast for conscious awareness. Your hidden mind notices subtle cues, processes them against stored experience, and delivers a conclusion that represents sophisticated analysis. Athletes, artists, and performers learn to trust this deeper wisdom, knowing that overthinking can interfere with subconscious competence. The tennis player who analyzes every stroke often performs worse than one who lets trained instincts take over. There's a lesson there about knowing when to step back and let hidden capabilities emerge. These insights into subconscious function reveal humans as far more complex than we typically imagine. We're not single minds making decisions, but layered systems where different levels of awareness contribute to the whole. The conscious mind gets the credit, but the real work often happens in shadows, guided by processes that remained mysterious until recently. Understanding this partnership between conscious and subconscious offers a different perspective on human potential. Instead of trying to control everything through willpower and analysis, we might learn to better collaborate with the hidden intelligence that already guides so much of what we do. The subconscious isn't something to overcome, but a powerful ally waiting to be understood. The words that come out of your mouth have already been through an invisible editing process. Your brain starts preparing what you'll say milliseconds before you even realize you want to speak. This happens completely outside your awareness, like having a secret editor working behind the scenes. Your subconscious mind checks each word for grammar, makes sure the tone sounds right, decides if what you're about to say is appropriate for the situation. Most mistakes get caught and fixed before they ever become sound. Sometimes, though, a slip of the tongue sneaks through. You might say the wrong word, or accidentally speak a thought out loud that you meant to keep private. These little errors are actually windows into this hidden process, brief glimpses of the complex machinery that usually works perfectly in silence. It's quite remarkable when you think about it. This system that lets us speak so fluently, without having to consciously plan every single word. We take it for granted, but speech only feels natural because there's this constant drafting and editing happening beneath the surface. The relationship between mind and body reveals itself in fascinating ways through something called the placebo effect. When someone takes a sugar pill that truly believes it's real medicine, their body can actually start healing. Pain might fade away. Anxiety can decrease. Even the chemical balance in their brain can shift measurably. The subconscious mind somehow accepts the expectation that healing should happen, then translates that belief into real physical changes. What's even more intriguing is that sometimes this works even when people consciously know the pill contains nothing but sugar. If the ritual feels medical enough, if there's trust in the process, the subconscious might still respond, as if real medicine was involved. This shows us something profound about how belief itself can become a kind of medicine. Health isn't just about what happens in our cells and organs, it's deeply tied to what happens in our minds. The subconscious doesn't just influence our thoughts and emotions, it reaches directly into our body's chemistry. Science is still trying to understand exactly how this bridge between thought and biology works, but the evidence is clear that it does work. Right now, as you listen to this, your subconscious is keeping you alive without you having to think about it even once. Your heart beats steadily, your lungs draw in air and push it back out, your blood pressure stays balanced. Thousands of other biological processes are being coordinated perfectly in the background. This is your autonomic nervous system at work, managed almost entirely by subconscious processes. Imagine if you had to consciously control every heartbeat, deliberately make yourself breathe in and out, manually adjust your blood pressure moment by moment. Life would be completely impossible. Instead, these vital programs run automatically, freeing up your conscious mind to focus on thinking, deciding, creating, experiencing the world around you. But here's something interesting. You do have some indirect influence over these automatic systems. When you deliberately slow down your breathing, your heart rate tends to calm down too. Regular meditation can actually lower blood pressure over time. So while the subconscious holds the main controls for keeping you alive, your conscious mind can sometimes lean in and make gentle adjustments. This partnership between conscious and subconscious creates a beautiful balance. The subconscious serves as the steady, reliable foundation, handling all the essential background tasks that keep everything running smoothly. Your eyes are constantly betraying secrets you never meant to share. Those tiny movements, the way your pupils change size, the direction of your gaze, all of this happens without your permission. When someone feels nervous, their eyes might dart around rapidly, almost like they're searching for an escape route. But when a person is truly focused, truly determined about something, their gaze becomes steady, unwavering. There's something fascinating about how your brain accesses memories through eye movement. People tend to glance upward when they're trying to remember something, or maybe they'll look sideways, as if the information is hiding just outside their field of vision. Your pupils are perhaps the most honest part of your face. They grow wider when you're attracted to someone, or when something genuinely interests you. When you're uncomfortable or stressed, they shrink, almost as if your body is trying to shut out whatever is bothering you. The strangest part is how fast all of this happens. You can't control it, you can't fake it convincingly. And yet other people pick up on these signals, instinctively. We trust what we see in someone's eyes more than what comes out of their mouth. It makes you wonder if we're all walking around with our inner thoughts on display, written in a language we don't even realize we're speaking. That eerie feeling of déjà vu might be your brain playing tricks on itself. You know that moment when everything feels strangely familiar, like you've lived through the exact same situation before, but you know you haven't. Scientists think this happens when information takes a wrong turn somewhere in your neural pathways. Your brain processes what's happening right now, but somehow treats it like a memory instead of a new experience. Another possibility is that your unconscious mind notices similarities between what's happening now and something from your past, something you've completely forgotten. It sends up a signal that says, "This is familiar," but it can't provide the context. So you're left with this unsettling feeling of recognition without explanation. It's like your brain is trying to tell you something, but it's speaking in riddles. The whole phenomenon reveals just how fragile our perception of reality can be. Memory and experience are more intertwined than we realize, and sometimes the wires get crossed. Your unconscious mind stumbles occasionally, creating these mysterious moments that feel almost supernatural, even though they're just the result of neural pathways getting their signals mixed up. Fear can burrow so deep into your mind that logic becomes powerless against it. Babies, someone who's terrified of spiders will panic at the sight of the tiniest, most harmless one. A person with a flying phobia might break into a cold sweat just walking into an airport. These aren't conscious choices, they're automatic responses that come from somewhere much deeper than rational thought. Often these fears trace back to some experience you might not even remember clearly, or they might be inherited warning systems passed down through generations of evolution. The information gets carved so deeply into your unconscious mind that no amount of reasoning can erase it. Your brain treats the situation as if real danger is present, flooding your body with all the chemical signals of genuine terror. Therapists sometimes try to retrain these deep-seated responses through gradual exposure, basically teaching the unconscious mind that the feared object isn't actually threatening. But until that retraining takes hold, the automatic response continues, trying to protect you from dangers that exist only in the shadowy corners of memory. It shows you just how stubborn and powerful these buried fears can be. Your unconscious mind doesn't always get the threat assessment right. Sometimes it interprets completely harmless things as dangerous, setting off alarm bells when there's absolutely no need for them. That creak you hear in your house at night might send a chill down your spine. A stranger's casual glance might feel menacing for no logical reason. These reactions come from ancient survival systems that were designed to err on the side of caution. From an evolutionary perspective, it was better to mistake a shadow for a predator than to miss actual danger. This built-in bias means your unconscious mind sometimes chooses fear over accuracy. Over time, if these false alarms keep happening, they can develop into anxiety disorders, where your brain treats everyday situations as constant threats, but the system exists because it kept our ancestors alive. Human survival has always depended more on being vigilant than on being perfectly accurate in threat assessment. Your unconscious mind might overreact, but in doing so, it ensures that your body is always prepared for potential danger, even when your rational mind knows there's nothing to worry about. Laughter is one of the most peculiar things humans do. It erupts without warning, triggered by something unexpected, something that catches you off guard. Many researchers believe humor works because your unconscious mind detects when reality doesn't match expectation. There's a twist, a surprise, some kind of clever mismatch that your brain finds delightful. This explains why jokes stop being funny once you know them. Your unconscious mind needs to be genuinely surprised to find joy in the contrast. Even something like tickling might work, partly because it hijacks this same system, surprising your body with sensations it wasn't prepared for. Humor reveals that your hidden mind has a playful side, one that rewards discovery and pattern recognition. Laughter isn't just entertainment, it's a glimpse into how your unconscious mind delights in finding patterns and then watching them get cleverly broken. It's a reminder that even the parts of your brain you're not aware of have their own sense of surprise and joy. When you spot a familiar face in a crowded room, recognition happens almost instantly. You don't consciously analyze their nose, their eyes, their mouth, comparing each feature to your memories. Your unconscious mind handles all of that processing in specialized brain regions that exist just for recognizing faces. This system works so quickly and efficiently that you might feel the recognition before you can even place who the person is. When these unconscious pathways get damaged, people can develop face blindness, where they lose the ability to identify even their closest family members by sight alone. The speed of unconscious facial recognition shows just how much of social interaction depends on processes you're completely unaware of. It's one of your brain's most specialized abilities, refined over thousands of years of human evolution. Every smile you recognize, every expression you interpret, happens because your unconscious mind is scanning and analyzing at lightning speed then delivering the results to your conscious awareness is an effortless feeling of familiarity. When two people start talking, something remarkable happens beneath their awareness. The rhythm of their voices begins to dance together without any conscious effort from either person. One speaker might slow down slightly, while the other picks up the pace until they find a shared tempo that feels just right. The pauses between words start to match, the rise and fall of sentences begins to echo, and before long, both voices are moving in a kind of invisible choreography. This synchronization unfolds completely outside our control. The brain tracks these patterns automatically, making tiny adjustments that we never notice. It's as if there's a conductor hidden deep in our minds, orchestrating this delicate balance of speech. The whole process reveals something profound about how we connect with each other, how communication becomes more than just exchanging words. Scientists have discovered that this rhythmic mirroring actually builds trust between people. When our speech patterns align with someone else's, we feel more comfortable, more understood. It's a bridge that forms without blueprints, connecting minds through shared cadence. Every conversation becomes a quiet collaboration, two nervous systems finding harmony in the space between thoughts and words. The phenomenon goes far beyond just the sounds we make. Watch people talking closely, and you'll see their bodies begin to mirror each other too. One person crosses their arms, the other follows suit moments later. Someone leans forward with interest, and their conversation partner unconsciously does the same. A smile appears on one face, and it's reflected back almost instantly, like light bouncing between mirrors. This physical mimicry operates in complete silence, below the threshold of awareness. We're copying gestures, expressions, even the angle of someone's head, all without realizing it. The subconscious mind is constantly taking notes, cataloging every movement, and feeding that information back through our own bodies. It's a form of empathy expressed through motion, a way of saying, without words, that we understand and connect. Research shows that people are much more likely to trust and cooperate with others who mirror them this way. There's something deeply reassuring about seeing our own movements reflected back to us. It signals that we're being heard, that our presence matters, that we're not alone in the space we occupy. The subconscious creates these moments of harmony, weaving invisible threads between people who might otherwise remain strangers. By the time we consciously notice that we feel comfortable with someone, this underground work has already been going on for minutes or even hours. The foundation of trust gets laid through thousands of tiny imitations, gestures so subtle they escape detection, but powerful enough to shape entire relationships. It makes you wonder how much of human connection happens in these hidden channels, beyond the reach of our everyday awareness. Consider something as simple and uncontrollable as blushing. That sudden rush of heat to the cheeks, the unmistakable reddening that announces our embarrassment or attraction to the entire world. We can't summon it on command, and we certainly can't stop it once it starts. In fact, the harder we try not to blush, the more intense it often becomes, as if the very act of fighting it feeds the fire. This response comes from emotional circuits buried deep in the brain, regions that operate completely independently of our conscious will. When we feel exposed, vulnerable, or caught off guard, these ancient systems trigger a flood of blood to the face. It's the body's way of signaling honesty, of wearing our inner state on the outside where everyone can see it. There's no hiding from a blush, no way to fake it or suppress it once it begins. Some researchers think blushing evolved as a social signal, a way to demonstrate sincerity and vulnerability to others. When someone blushes, they're essentially broadcasting that they care about how they're perceived, that they're emotionally invested in the interaction. It's a form of honesty that can't be manufactured, a glimpse into the authentic self that lies beneath our social masks. The whole phenomenon reveals just how much the subconscious mind controls our daily experience. Here's this dramatic, visible response that we're completely powerless to control, triggered by emotional processes we don't even understand. It's humbling, in a way, to realize that some of our most human moments, these flashes of vulnerability and connection, happen without any input from our thinking minds at all. These automatic responses paint a picture of consciousness that's far more complex than we usually imagine. We like to think we're in charge, that we make decisions and control our actions. But underneath that sense of agency, there's this whole other world of processes humming along, shaping our interactions, building our relationships, and revealing our emotions, all without asking permission from the part of us that thinks it's running the show. Your body orchestrates a symphony of movement every time you walk, and you never think about it. Hundreds of muscles fire in perfect sequence, adjusting your posture, millisecond by millisecond. Your inner ear sends balance signals, while your eyes scan for obstacles, and your feet feel the texture of the ground beneath them. All of this happens without any conscious effort on your part. When you step onto a moving train or walk across an icy parking lot, your subconscious instantly recalibrates everything to keep you upright. This automatic coordination reveals something profound about the nature of consciousness itself. Most of what keeps us functioning happens in the shadows of awareness, like a master puppeteer whose strings we never see. Your conscious mind can focus on a conversation or daydream about dinner, while your body navigates stairs, avoids puddles, and maintains perfect rhythm. Only when something goes wrong, when you stumble or lose your footing, do you suddenly appreciate the incredible complexity of simply staying balanced. Musicians depend on this same subconscious precision when they play. A pianist's fingers move faster than conscious thought could ever direct them. Athletes experience it too, when muscle memory takes over during a crucial moment. The conscious mind would be far too slow to manage these intricate sequences. Instead, your subconscious has learned these patterns, storing them like a vast library of automatic responses. Even your sense of time operates largely beneath conscious awareness. You might wake up minutes before your alarm goes off, guided by some internal clock that your conscious mind never wound. During a brief nap, your subconscious tracks the passing minutes, even while you dream. This hidden timekeeper uses biological rhythms, environmental cues, and countless subtle signals to maintain its accuracy. Your heartbeat becomes a metronome, your breathing a measure of duration. The subconscious also monitors the social world around you with remarkable sensitivity. You've probably felt someone watching you from across a room, turning to discover their gaze fixed on you. This isn't magic or coincidence. It's your subconscious processing tiny details that your conscious mind overlooks. Peripheral vision catches micro-movements, subtle shifts in posture, the angle of a head turned in your direction. These fragments of information combine into an unmistakable feeling of being observed. This sensitivity likely evolved as a survival mechanism. Detecting a predator's stare could mean the difference between life and death for our ancestors. Today, that same system operates in coffee shops and office buildings, quietly monitoring who's paying attention to you. It demonstrates how the subconscious never stops gathering information, even when your conscious attention is focused elsewhere. Yawning reveals another fascinating aspect of how our subconscious minds connect with others. When someone near you yawns, you often find yourself yawning too, sometimes without even noticing it happened. This contagion occurs because your brain contains special cells called mirror neurons that automatically simulate what you observe in others. These cells fire both when you perform an action and when you watch someone else perform it. The yawning response is strongest between people who share close bonds, friends and family members, romantic partners. It's weaker among strangers and absent in some individuals with certain neurological conditions. This suggests that contagious yawning is really about empathy and social connection. Your subconscious is constantly trying to align your internal state with the people around you, creating invisible threads of shared experience. Mirror neurons influence far more than just yawning. They help explain why laughter spreads through a crowd, why you might unconsciously adopt the accent of someone you're talking to, or why you wince when you see someone stub their toe. Your brain is continuously mirroring the experiences of others, blending your own sensations with theirs, in ways you rarely notice. This creates a kind of emotional contagion that binds groups together. These same mirror systems can work against us when they operate with biases we don't consciously recognize. Your subconscious forms associations based on repeated exposure to cultural messages, personal experiences, and social patterns. Someone might genuinely believe in treating all people fairly, while still harboring unconscious preferences that influence their behavior. These implicit biases show up in split-second decisions about hiring, housing, healthcare, and countless daily interactions. The troubling aspect of implicit bias is how it operates independently of conscious values. You might intellectually reject stereotypes while your subconscious still responds to them. Reaction time tests can reveal these hidden associations by measuring the tiny delays when your conscious beliefs conflict with your automatic responses. Recognizing this disconnect between conscious intention and subconscious reaction is uncomfortable but necessary. The power of the subconscious to shape our perceptions and actions without our awareness raises profound questions about free will and moral responsibility. If our decisions are influenced by processes we can't directly control, how accountable are we for our choices? Yet awareness of these hidden influences can itself become a tool for change. Training programs and mindfulness practices can gradually reshape subconscious associations, though the process requires patience and persistent effort. Understanding the subconscious reveals the intricate machinery operating beneath the surface of everyday experience. From the moment you wake up to the rhythm of your evening walk, from the way you unconsciously mirror a friend's posture, to the split-second judgments you make about strangers, invisible processes shape your reality. This hidden dimension of mental life suggests that consciousness, rather than being the captain of the ship, might be more like a passenger who occasionally gets to make suggestions about the route. When you think about what your eyes actually see, there's something profound happening that you never consciously notice. Your brain takes in this massive field of vision, but only a tiny portion gets your direct attention. The rest, everything happening at the edges of sight, gets processed by deeper parts of your mind that never report back to you. These hidden processes are incredibly sophisticated. They're constantly scanning for movement, checking shapes, analyzing contrast patterns. It's like having a security system that never sleeps, never takes a break. The fascinating thing is how this system prioritizes information. Most of what happens in your peripheral vision just gets filtered out, dismissed as unimportant. But when something significant appears, when there's sudden movement or an unexpected shape, that's when the subconscious mind takes action. It sends an urgent message to your conscious awareness, often before you can even identify what you saw. This instant communication between the hidden mind and conscious thought probably kept our ancestors alive for thousands of years. Think about how this played out in ancient times. Early humans lived in environments where danger could approach from any direction. A predator moving through tall grass, a rival human approaching with hostile intent. These were life and death situations. The peripheral vision system became incredibly good at detecting these threats, even when conscious attention was focused elsewhere. Today we experience this same ancient system in modern contexts. When you're driving and something enters your peripheral vision, you react before you consciously process what it is. Athletes rely on this system constantly, tracking multiple moving objects while maintaining focus on their primary task. Even in crowded spaces, your peripheral vision helps navigate obstacles and avoid collisions. What's remarkable is how much information passes through this system without ever reaching awareness. Your posture adjusts, your reactions change, even your mood can shift based on things you never consciously noticed. The subconscious acts like a gatekeeper, deciding which sensory information deserves conscious attention and which can be handled automatically. This connection between hidden mental processes and physical responses extends far beyond vision. Your subconscious mind has this peculiar relationship with imagination that can actually change your body's behavior. When you vividly picture something in your mind, your physiology responds as if that imagined event were actually happening. Visualizing a stressful situation can make your heart rate increase, your breathing become shallow, stress hormones start flowing. Conversely, imagining peaceful scenes, calm environments, pleasant experiences, these can slow your heart rate, relax your muscles, create measurable changes in your body's chemistry. The conscious mind knows these images aren't real, but the subconscious doesn't make that distinction. Athletes have figured out how to use this phenomenon to their advantage. They spend time mentally rehearsing their performance, visualizing every movement, every sensation, every emotional response. The subconscious treats this mental practice almost like real practice, preparing the body for the actual event. When competition time arrives, the body already knows what to expect. Therapists use similar techniques to help people manage anxiety, chronic pain, even prepare for medical procedures. By guiding patients through specific imagery exercises, they can help reduce stress responses, manage discomfort, create more positive mental states. The power lies in how completely the subconscious accepts vivid mental imagery as a form of reality. This blurring of lines between imagination and reality reveals something profound about how tightly connected mind and body really are. The boundary between inner experience and outer world becomes much less clear when you consider how the subconscious processes information. To imagine something vividly is, in many ways, to experience it on a subconscious level. Unfortunately, this same system that can be used therapeutically can also work against us. Traumatic experiences can embed themselves in subconscious networks and remain active for decades. Long after conscious memory has faded, these hidden imprints continue to influence behavior, relationships, emotional responses. A particular sound, a specific scent, even certain phrases can trigger reactions that the conscious mind can't explain. The subconscious remembers things differently than conscious memory does. It stores experiences in networks of sensation, emotion, physical response. These memories don't necessarily have words attached to them, but they remain incredibly powerful. The subconscious seems to preserve traumatic experiences as a form of protection, keeping the conscious mind from having to repeatedly process unbearable memories. But this protection comes with a cost. Those buried experiences can continue to shape present moment reactions in ways that feel mysterious or overwhelming. Healing often involves bringing these subconscious memories into conscious awareness, where they can be processed, understood, integrated into a person's life story. Until that happens, the subconscious may continue repeating patterns, recreating emotional states, influencing decisions based on past experiences that feel completely disconnected from current reality. This reveals both the protective nature and the binding nature of subconscious processing. It shields us from experiences we couldn't handle consciously, but it also keeps us connected to those experiences in ways we don't understand. The hidden mind holds both our greatest resilience and our deepest vulnerabilities. The influence of subconscious processes extends into physical healing in ways that might surprise you. Chronic stress, even stress that never reaches conscious awareness, can significantly slow down the body's ability to repair itself. Hidden tension activates hormonal pathways that suppress immune function, interfere with tissue regeneration, drain energy reserves. A person might consciously feel fine, relaxed, optimistic about their recovery. But if the subconscious is carrying stress, that hidden tension can sabotage healing processes. Surgical wounds take longer to close, illnesses persist longer than expected, energy levels remain depleted for extended periods. Research has shown that patients with lower subconscious stress markers recover more quickly from medical procedures, fight off infections more effectively, report better outcomes across various health measures. This suggests that healing involves much more than just medical intervention. The quiet mind beneath awareness plays a crucial role in physical recovery. Meditation practices, therapy approaches, even simple activities like laughter can reduce subconscious stress levels, freeing up the body's natural healing mechanisms. This connection between hidden mental processes and physical health demonstrates how integrated our systems really are. What happens in the depths of the mind directly influences what happens in the tissues, organs, cells of the body. Even something as simple as eye contact operates through subconscious channels in fascinating ways. When you look into someone's eyes, immediate and automatic responses occur beneath conscious awareness. The subconscious interprets patterns of gaze, duration of contact, subtle movements and expressions around the eyes. Prolonged eye contact typically generates feelings of connection, intimacy, trust. Avoidance of eye contact often triggers suspicion, discomfort, interpretations of dishonesty, or disinterest. These reactions happen faster than conscious thought, as the subconscious evaluates social signals and produces emotional responses. Studies have found that people are more likely to believe someone who maintains steady eye contact, even when the content of their speech is uncertain or questionable. This suggests that the subconscious uses eye behavior as a primary indicator of sincerity, probably because this system evolved over thousands of years of face-to-face human interaction. Every time you make eye contact with another person, there's actually a form of communication happening between subconscious minds. Information is being exchanged, evaluated, responded to, all beneath the level of conscious awareness. The eyes really do serve as windows, not necessarily to the soul, but certainly to subconscious processing. Music provides another fascinating example of how the subconscious influences physical responses. When you listen to music, your body often synchronizes with the rhythm without any conscious intention. Breathing patterns adjust to match tempo, heart rate shifts with the energy of the music, muscle tension changes with melody and harmony. The subconscious processes musical information incredibly quickly, faster than conscious thought can analyze the same sounds. This allows music to directly influence physiological states. Slow, steady music can calm breathing, reduce heart rate, promote relaxation. Fast, energetic music can stimulate circulation, increase alertness, prepare the body for activity. Musicians rely on this subconscious connection to maintain timing, coordinate with other performers, express emotional content through their instruments. Even people who aren't musically trained find themselves moved by music in ways they can't consciously explain. The sounds bypass logical analysis and speak directly to deeper processing centers. This universality of musical response suggests something fundamental about how the subconscious mind works. It connects with patterns, rhythms, emotional content in immediate and powerful ways. Music can alter states of consciousness, change physical responses, influence mood and energy levels, all through its direct communication with hidden mental processes. Even facial expressions can influence subconscious processing in unexpected ways. When you smile, even if you don't feel particularly happy, the physical act of smiling can actually trigger positive responses in the subconscious mind. The brain interprets the muscle movements associated with smiling as indicators of positive emotional states and responds accordingly. Our minds and bodies exist in a remarkable dance of constant communication, where physical gestures can actually reshape how we feel inside. When you curve your lips upward into a smile, something fascinating happens beneath the surface of awareness. Your brain interprets this muscular arrangement as a signal, almost like reading a secret code written in flesh and bone. Scientists have discovered that even artificial smiles can fool the deeper parts of our minds. The facial muscles send messages backward into the brain, triggering circuits that generate genuine feelings of happiness. This phenomenon reveals how our bodies constantly speak to our subconscious, creating emotions from the outside in. People who maintain smiles during challenging tasks report feeling calmer, even when they know the expression is forced. The implications stretch far beyond simple facial expressions. Our subconscious mind reads every gesture, every posture, every subtle shift in our physical presence. It's as if we carry an internal interpreter that never stops working, translating the language of the body into the currency of emotion. Sleep brings its own mysteries, particularly when our dreams turn dark and unsettling. Nightmares aren't random disturbances that interrupt our rest. They function more like urgent messages from the hidden parts of our minds, warning systems that activate when stress accumulates beyond comfortable levels. The subconscious transforms anxiety into vivid imagery, creating scenarios where we're chased, falling, or losing control. These frightening dreams serve multiple purposes simultaneously. They process difficult emotions that we struggle to handle while awake. They rehearse potential responses to threatening situations. Most importantly, they force our conscious minds to pay attention to pressures we've been ignoring during our waking hours. In many ways, nightmares represent the subconscious working overtime, desperately trying to communicate what our rational minds refuse to acknowledge. The symbolic language of dreams becomes a last resort, using imagery too powerful and disturbing to dismiss easily. Our bodies reveal subconscious tensions through movements we barely notice: tapping feet, bouncing knees, restless shifting from position to position. These aren't random fidgets, they're physical expressions of internal anxiety that has nowhere else to go. The subconscious channels hidden stress into repetitive motions, creating outlets for energy that builds up without conscious awareness. Most people remain completely unaware of these movements until someone else points them out. The body acts independently, following instructions from deeper mental processes that operate below the threshold of normal attention. These restless movements appear most frequently during stressful situations, when we're tired, or when our subconscious systems become overwhelmed by competing demands. Even when our conscious minds insist everything is fine, our bodies tell different stories. They become mirrors reflecting subconscious states, revealing truths that our thoughts haven't yet admitted or processed fully. Public speaking triggers some of the most dramatic examples of subconscious fear responses. Hearts race, hands tremble, breathing becomes shallow, all because ancient brain circuits mistake social exposure for mortal danger. The amygdala, our brain's alarm system, floods the body with stress hormones as if survival depends on immediate action. This reaction connects to evolutionary programming, where rejection from the group could mean death in harsh environments. Our subconscious minds cannot distinguish between standing before an audience and facing genuine life-threatening situations. They respond with overwhelming protective measures that feel completely disproportionate to the actual risk involved. Many performers and speakers learn to retrain these automatic responses through repeated exposure and practice. They gradually teach their subconscious systems that visibility doesn't equal vulnerability. Until that learning occurs, stage fright remains one of the clearest demonstrations of how prehistoric survival circuits continue shaping modern experiences. Guilt operates differently when it hides in subconscious territories. Instead of announcing itself clearly, unresolved guilt influences behavior from the shadows. People avoid opportunities, sabotage their own success, or act with unnecessary caution because of mistakes and regrets buried below conscious thought. The subconscious carries emotional weight, like a hidden backpack, interpreting new situations through the lens of past failures. This creates patterns of hesitation, anxiety, or unexplained resistance that seem to emerge from nowhere. The person experiences the effects without understanding the underlying causes. Therapeutic work often involves tracing these behavioral patterns backward to their origins, uncovering guilt that has been steering decisions like an invisible compass. Once brought into conscious awareness, these feelings can be processed and resolved more effectively. Until that happens, subconscious guilt continues its quiet influence, shaping the paths we choose and the risks we're willing to take. Meanwhile, our subconscious systems manage an incredibly complex orchestra of hormonal regulation. Cortisol rises each morning to promote alertness. Melatonin increases at night to encourage sleep. Insulin responds to food intake. Growth hormones activate during rest periods. All of this happens automatically, controlled by subconscious networks that monitor the body's needs and adjust chemical responses accordingly. The precision of this system is remarkable. Our conscious minds have virtually no direct control over these processes, yet they unfold with perfect timing day after day. While we can influence hormones indirectly through behavior choices like managing stress or controlling when we eat, the fine-tuned balance operates completely outside our awareness. This hormonal regulation reveals how the subconscious extends far beyond thoughts and emotions. It functions as the silent conductor of our biological rhythms, adjusting internal chemistry to match the demands of each moment. We exist as walking laboratories where countless chemical reactions proceed under subconscious supervision, maintaining the delicate balance that keeps us alive and functioning. The human body operates through an intricate network of chemical conversations that happen far below our awareness. Every breath we take, every moment we exist, our biology is constantly adjusting, adapting, responding to invisible signals that our conscious minds never detect. It's a remarkable dance of chemistry and biology, one that shapes our deepest connections without us ever knowing it's happening. When two people meet, there's an entire dialogue taking place through scent alone. Our noses are processing chemical information about genetic compatibility, immune system differences, even emotional states. The subconscious mind is running calculations, comparing genetic markers, determining whether this person might be suitable for healthy offspring. We think attraction is about looks or conversation, but underneath it all, there's this ancient biological computer making assessments based on molecules we can't even smell. Research shows that people are naturally drawn to others whose immune systems complement their own. It's as if our bodies have evolved this sophisticated way of ensuring genetic diversity, of promoting healthier children, all through the simple act of breathing near someone. The conscious mind has no idea this is happening, but the subconscious is taking detailed notes, filing away information that will influence how comfortable, how attracted, how drawn we feel to another person. Even artificial scents, perfumes and colognes tap into these deep biological responses. The fragrance industry has long understood that certain chemical compounds can trigger emotional reactions, create feelings of warmth or desire, make someone seem more appealing. It's fascinating how something as simple as a molecule can bypass our rational thinking and speak directly to these older, more primitive parts of our minds. This hidden world of chemical communication extends far beyond romantic attraction. Mothers and babies recognize each other through scent. Friends develop preferences based on subtle biological signatures. Even our daily moods can be influenced by the chemical signals we're unconsciously detecting from the people around us. We're all swimming in this invisible ocean of molecular information, constantly receiving and transmitting signals we never consciously notice. The power of childhood experiences to shape our entire lives becomes especially clear when we consider how music embeds itself in our developing minds. Those early songs, the lullabies, the cartoon theme songs, even simple nursery rhymes, they don't just enter our memory, they become woven into the very fabric of who we are. The subconscious mind of a child is particularly receptive, particularly open to these deep impressions. Decades later, hearing one of these childhood melodies can instantly transport an adult back to feelings of safety, comfort, joy. It's not just remembering the song, it's re-experiencing the emotional state that surrounded it. The subconscious stores music, alongside emotions, creating these incredibly durable connections that can last an entire lifetime. A simple tune heard on the radio can suddenly fill someone with inexplicable warmth, or nostalgia, or even sadness, all because their hidden mind has preserved not just the melody but the entire emotional context. This demonstrates something profound about how our brains develop. The experiences we have in childhood don't just create memories, they create the emotional templates that will influence how we respond to the world for the rest of our lives. Music becomes a key that can unlock these deep chambers of feeling, connecting our adult selves to those early moments when our personalities were still forming. What makes this even more intriguing is how selective this process is. Not every childhood song leaves such a lasting impression, but the ones that do, the ones that were somehow significant, create these permanent pathways in our minds. They become part of our emotional vocabulary, a soundtrack that plays quietly in the background of our lives, influencing our moods and reactions in ways we rarely recognize. Perhaps nowhere is the creative, reconstructive nature of the subconscious more evident than in how it handles memory itself. We like to think of memory as reliable, as a faithful recording of what actually happened, but the reality is far more complex, and in some ways, far more troubling. The subconscious mind doesn't distinguish between real experiences and imagined ones as clearly as we might hope. Researchers have demonstrated that entirely false memories can be planted in people's minds with surprising ease, through careful suggestion, through leading questions, through the simple power of imagination, guided by authority. People can come to remember childhood events that never actually occurred. They remember being lost in a shopping mall, meeting fictional characters, experiencing traumas that never happened. These false memories feel completely real, completely real, completely real, completely real. This reveals something unsettling about the nature of memory itself. The subconscious isn't passively storing experiences like a video camera. Instead, it's constantly rewriting, constantly reconstructing, blending truth with imagination, mixing real experiences with suggestions, dreams, stories we've heard. Every time we recall a memory, we're actually changing it slightly, adding new details, subtracting others, influenced by our current mood, our present understanding, the context in which we're remembering. This has profound implications for how we understand ourselves, how we trust our own experiences. It explains why eyewitness testimony can be so unreliable, why family members can have completely different memories of the same events, why nostalgia often paints the past in colors that probably never existed. Our memories aren't just records of what happened, they're creative reconstructions, stories our minds tell us about who we are and where we came from. The boundary between consciousness and unconsciousness becomes particularly blurred during sleep, when the subconscious mind continues its work while our aware selves rest. Sleep talking offers a fascinating window into this hidden activity. Words emerge from sleeping mouths, sometimes coherent, sometimes fragmented, sometimes startling in their clarity or strangeness. The person speaking has no control, no awareness, yet their subconscious is actively forming thoughts, processing experiences, generating language. These nocturnal monologues rarely reveal deep secrets or hidden thoughts. More often, they're random fragments, pieces of dreams, echoes of the day's experiences being sorted and filed away. But their existence demonstrates how active our minds remain, even when we think we're completely at rest. The subconscious never truly sleeps. It just shifts its focus, working on different tasks, processing information in different ways. Sometimes sleep talkers seem to be responding to dreams, carrying on conversations with imaginary people, reacting to scenarios playing out in their sleeping minds. Other times the words seem to come from nowhere, random phrases that surprise even the listeners who hear them. It's as if the subconscious occasionally bubbles up to the surface, sending messages we never intended to share. This phenomenon reminds us that consciousness isn't an on-off switch, but more like a dimmer, with various levels of awareness fading in and out throughout our daily cycle. Even when we think our conscious minds are completely offline, there's still activity happening, still processing, still the mysterious work of the hidden self continuing in the darkness. A similar bypassing of conscious control can be observed in automatic writing, where people allow their hands to move across paper without deliberately choosing the words. Writers and artists have long used this technique to access ideas that seem to come from somewhere beyond their normal thinking processes. The experience is often described as surprising, as if the words are arriving from an external source, even though they're clearly emerging from within. Therapeutically, automatic writing has been used to help people access buried feelings, suppressed memories, thoughts that the conscious mind might censor or reject. By stepping aside, by allowing the subconscious to guide the pen, individuals sometimes discover emotions or insights they didn't know they possessed. It's a direct conversation with the hidden parts of ourselves, a way of letting the deeper currents of the mind express themselves freely. Creatively, many writers find that automatic writing produces ideas, images, or phrases that their conscious minds would never have generated. The subconscious seems less bound by logic, less concerned with criticism, more willing to make unusual connections, to explore strange territories of thought and feeling. It's as if there's an artist living in the hidden parts of our minds, one with different sensibilities, different priorities than our everyday conscious selves. The practice reveals just how much mental activity occurs below our awareness, how much thinking, feeling, and processing happens without our direct involvement. The subconscious isn't just a passive storage system, it's an active creator, constantly generating new combinations of ideas, new ways of understanding experience, new responses to the complexities of existence. Perhaps the most protective function of the subconscious involves its ability to shield us from experiences too painful to bear. Memory suppression represents one of the mind's most sophisticated defense mechanisms, a way of ensuring psychological survival by hiding traumatic experiences from conscious awareness. The subconscious becomes a kind of guardian, deciding what we can handle and what needs to be temporarily forgotten. These suppressed memories don't disappear. They remain stored in the hidden archives of the mind, continuing to influence behavior, mood, even physical health. Someone might find themselves inexplicably anxious in certain situations, uncomfortable with particular people, reactive to specific triggers, all because their subconscious is responding to buried experiences their conscious mind can access. Sometimes these memories surface suddenly, triggered by a smell, a sound, a particular combination of circumstances that latches the suppressed experience. The emotions that emerge can feel disproportionate, overwhelming, confusing, because they're carrying the full weight of experiences that were never properly processed or integrated. Therapeutic work often involves carefully, safely helping people reconnect with these hidden parts of their history. It's delicate work because the subconscious suppressed these memories for good reasons, to protect psychological functioning when the person wasn't ready or able to handle the full reality of their experience. This protective function of the subconscious reveals something profound about how our minds prioritize survival over accuracy, emotional safety over literal truth. The hidden parts of ourselves are constantly making editorial decisions about our experiences, determining what we're ready to know about our own lives, what we can handle at any given moment. In the end, these various phenomena all point to the same remarkable reality, that we are far more than our conscious thoughts and deliberate actions. There's an entire hidden world operating within us, processing information, making decisions, creating responses, protecting us, connecting us to others, all without our awareness or permission. We are, in many ways, mysteries to ourselves, complex beings whose deepest workings remain largely invisible to our everyday awareness. Our minds possess this remarkable ability to learn without ever knowing they're making mistakes. Picture a child stumbling through their first words, completely unaware they're mispronouncing everything. Yet somehow, through pure repetition, their speech gradually improves. The hidden parts of our brain are constantly monitoring, adjusting, refining, even when our conscious mind isn't paying attention at all. This invisible learning happens everywhere, around us. A guitarist might play the same chord progression hundreds of times, never quite noticing when the timing feels off. But deep beneath awareness, something is listening, measuring, correcting. Eventually, the music flows perfectly, as if by magic. We call this implicit learning, knowledge that seeps into us without any deliberate effort. Athletes rely on this mysterious process constantly. Their bodies learn to adjust balance, timing, coordination, all while their conscious minds focus on strategy or technique. The subconscious becomes this silent coach, embedding new patterns into memory without fanfare or recognition. Perhaps this explains why skills often feel surprisingly easier after we've taken a break. While we were away, completely distracted by other things, the hidden mind continued its work. Conscious effort gives direction, certainly, but these invisible systems handle most of the heavy lifting. It's like having a sculptor quietly shaping stone in the background, working while no one watches. There's something profound about this hidden learning process. It suggests our minds are far more active than we realize, constantly absorbing, processing, improving. Even when we think we're doing nothing at all, the brain adapts in ways that completely bypass our awareness, allowing progress to unfold naturally, quietly, efficiently. When our minds start to wander, something fascinating takes over. Daydreaming isn't just mental laziness, it's the subconscious taking the steering wheel. Suddenly, unexpected images appear, strange stories unfold, creative ideas bubble up, as if the brain is rehearsing possibilities without being asked. Scientists have discovered what they call the default mode network, a brain system that becomes incredibly active when our conscious mind isn't focused on specific tasks. During these wandering moments, the subconscious starts exploring connections between memories, emotions, imagination, generating insights that never would have emerged through deliberate thinking. So many inventions, artworks, solutions to impossible problems have been born in daydreams. The wandering isn't wasted time at all, it's subconscious exploration. The hidden mind is making sense of experiences, testing scenarios, playing with fragments of information in ways our logical thinking never could. While society constantly celebrates focus and productivity, daydreaming reveals the incredible power of letting go. The subconscious uses this freedom to play, to combine random fragments into something completely new. Creativity often emerges not when we push hardest, but when we release control, giving the hidden mind permission to wander unobserved. There's wisdom in recognizing that our best ideas might come not from grinding effort, but from those quiet moments when we stop trying so hard. The subconscious needs space to work its magic, to make connections that conscious thought would dismiss as illogical. Between wakefulness and sleep lies this strange territory called hypnagogia, filled with the most peculiar images, sounds, sensations. These fleeting visions come directly from the subconscious, blending fragments of memory with pure imagination. Colors shift without reason, shapes morph into impossible forms, voices whisper things that make no logical sense. Yet these twilight states can spark remarkable creativity. Artists and inventors throughout history have drawn inspiration from hypnagogic experiences, using them as doorways into the subconscious mind. Unlike dreams, these images feel semi-conscious. You might know you're drifting, but you can't fully control where your mind goes. This twilight zone provides a rare opportunity to witness the subconscious in action, painting its pictures directly onto the canvas of awareness, completely unfiltered by logic or reason. The images feel both foreign and familiar, as if they belong to someone else but somehow emerge from deep within. There's something humbling about these moments. They remind us that our minds contain vast territories we rarely visit, creative spaces that operate according to completely different rules than our waking thoughts. The subconscious has its own language, its own logic, its own way of making sense of the world. Lucid dreaming creates this extraordinary phenomenon where conscious awareness meets the subconscious world. The dreamer suddenly realizes they're dreaming and can sometimes influence the unfolding story. It's like having a conversation between two different parts of the mind that usually operate separately. People who experience lucid dreams often describe them as incredibly vivid and exhilarating. They can ask questions, test possibilities, even practice skills within the dream world. The subconscious provides the dreamscape, all the characters and scenery, while the conscious mind navigates knowingly through this hidden landscape. Some use lucid dreaming for creativity, working through problems by exploring them in symbolic form. Others confront fears by meeting them directly in the dream world, where consequences feel less threatening. Some simply enjoy the wonder of flying or bending reality according to their wishes. Lucid dreaming shows that the boundary between conscious and subconscious isn't absolute. In these rare moments, the two can actually meet, creating dialogue across layers of mind that are usually completely separate. It's a reminder that even in sleep, awareness can find its way into the hidden worlds beneath ordinary thought. There's something magical about this bridge between conscious and unconscious. It suggests that with practice, we might learn to communicate more directly with the deeper parts of our minds, accessing wisdom and creativity that normally remain hidden. Daily life fills the subconscious with constant noise. Worries, habits, automatic reactions, all chattering beneath awareness, like background static. Meditation offers a way to quiet this endless hum by focusing on breath, sound, or simple stillness. Brain scans reveal that meditation actually changes activity in areas linked to attention and emotion regulation. It's like tuning down the volume on subconscious reactivity, creating space for clarity to emerge. Long-time practitioners often report feeling less overwhelmed, as if the subconscious has been gently untangled from its constant knots. This doesn't mean the subconscious disappears during meditation, rather that its endless whispering gets calmed. Over time, meditation can actually retrain subconscious responses, making stress less automatic and compassion more natural. It's a practice that speaks directly to the hidden mind, teaching it to settle and listen instead of constantly rushing and reacting. There's profound wisdom in this approach to mental training. By working with the subconscious rather than against it, meditation reveals the possibility of peace within even the deepest layers of mind. It suggests that we have more influence over our automatic responses than we might imagine. Dreams communicate through this fascinating language of symbols. A falling staircase, a locked door, a rushing river. These images rarely mean exactly what they appear to be. Instead, they represent subconscious feelings or struggles that can't easily be put into words. The subconscious speaks in metaphors because it bypasses logic entirely, weaving emotions directly into imagery. While dream symbols don't have universal meanings, many reflect personal experiences stored beneath awareness. A childhood home appearing in a dream might signal unresolved feelings, while being endlessly chased could embody ongoing stress. Psychologists have long studied these patterns, noting how the subconscious consistently prefers images to words. Dreams reveal this symbolic voice most clearly, like poetry written by the hidden mind. Whether or not our interpretations are accurate, the symbolism shows that the subconscious is always translating emotion into imagery, leaving traces that conscious thought can only partly understand. There's something beautiful about this symbolic language. It suggests that the deeper parts of our minds are constantly creating art, turning our experiences into metaphorical stories that capture truths our logical thinking might miss entirely. Even during the deepest stages of sleep, the subconscious remains surprisingly active, processing information absorbed throughout the day. Skills practiced while awake get strengthened overnight, as the hidden mind consolidates them into long-term memory. Musicians often discover they can perform pieces better after sleeping, even without additional practice. The subconscious spends the night fine-tuning patterns while the body rests. This hidden learning also explains why reviewing information before bed can be remarkably effective. The subconscious continues working with it, while you dream of completely different things. The deeper mind keeps solidifying connections, ensuring that knowledge endures beyond the moment of learning. Sleep becomes not just rest, but rehearsal, a time when the subconscious continues the quiet labor of improvement. Consciousness may fade completely, but the student within never stops working, preparing for whatever tomorrow might bring. This reveals something profound about the nature of learning itself. Growth doesn't only happen when we're actively trying. Some of our most important development occurs in the hidden spaces, during the quiet moments when we think nothing significant is happening at all. Our minds possess a remarkable ability to isolate specific sounds from a sea of noise. Imagine standing in a room where dozens of conversations overlap, creating what seems like an impenetrable wall of sound, yet somehow, your brain can lock onto a single voice, filtering out everything else with precision that rivals the most advanced technology. This phenomenon reveals something fascinating about how our subconscious operates as a tireless background processor. The subconscious mind works constantly to sort through the overwhelming amount of sensory information bombarding us every moment. It makes split-second decisions about what deserves our attention and what can be safely ignored. When someone across a crowded space mentions your name, even if you weren't actively listening, that word somehow breaks through the chaos and reaches your conscious awareness. This isn't magic, it's your subconscious acting as an intelligent filter, prioritizing information that has personal significance. Think about how this process unfolds without any effort on your part. You're not consciously telling your brain to search for familiar voices or important keywords. Instead, this filtering happens automatically, demonstrating that our subconscious isn't just passive storage, it's an active participant in how we experience the world. The fact that emotionally significant sounds can penetrate our awareness even when we're focused elsewhere suggests that our hidden mental processes understand context and meaning in ways we're only beginning to appreciate. This selective attention reveals a deeper truth about human perception. We like to think we experience reality directly, but what we actually perceive is a carefully curated version, edited by subconscious processes we rarely acknowledge. Every moment, countless sounds, sights and sensations compete for our attention, yet we remain functional because something beneath our awareness is making executive decisions about what matters. The same subconscious forces that help us find voices in crowds also influence decisions we believe we're making rationally. When employers review job applications, they often assume they're evaluating candidates purely on merit. Research tells a different story. Hidden biases slip into these processes like shadows, affecting judgments in ways that escape conscious detection. A person's name, the sound of their voice, or subtle visual cues can trigger associations that influence decisions without anyone realizing it's happening. Studies have shown that identical qualifications can be rated differently, depending on seemingly irrelevant details. These effects stem from subconscious stereotypes built through cultural exposure and repeated experiences. What makes this particularly striking is that these biases operate independently of a person's conscious values or intentions. Someone who genuinely believes in fairness can still be influenced by hidden mental processes that associate certain characteristics with competence or trustworthiness. This presents a fascinating paradox about human judgment. We pride ourselves on rational decision-making, yet much of what we consider logical reasoning is actually shaped by subconscious influences we don't recognize. The realization that our minds work this way isn't cause for despair. It's an opportunity for greater self-awareness. When we understand how these hidden processes operate, we can develop strategies to counteract their influence and make more genuinely objective choices. Psychologists have developed clever ways to measure these hidden mental associations. Implicit association tests work by asking people to rapidly categorize words and images, then measuring how quickly they make different types of connections. The speed of these responses reveals subconscious preferences that people might not even know they possess. Someone might consciously claim to have no biases, yet their reaction times tell a different story, showing faster associations between certain groups and particular traits. These tests illuminate something profound about the architecture of human cognition. Our conscious minds and subconscious processes don't always align. We can hold explicit beliefs about equality and fairness, while simultaneously harboring implicit associations that contradict those values. This isn't hypocrisy, it's simply how the brain works. Different mental systems operate according to different rules, and they don't always communicate perfectly with each other. The discovery of these implicit biases raises intriguing questions about personal responsibility and social change. If our judgments are influenced by mental processes we don't control, how do we create a fairer society? The answer seems to lie in awareness and systematic approaches that account for these hidden influences. By acknowledging that our subconscious minds are shaped by the cultural environments we've been exposed to, we can work to reshape those influences over time. First impressions form with breathtaking speed, often within fractions of a second. Before conscious thought can even engage, the subconscious has already evaluated a stranger's face, posture, and voice, generating instant judgments about their trustworthiness, competence, or attractiveness. These snap assessments happen so quickly that logic doesn't have time to participate in the process. By the time we're consciously aware of meeting someone new, our subconscious has already formed preliminary conclusions. What's remarkable about these instant evaluations is how persistent they can be. Even when later information contradicts that first impression, the initial judgment often continues to influence our perceptions. This suggests that subconscious processing isn't just fast, it's also sticky. Once formed, these rapid assessments create a kind of mental framework that shapes how we interpret subsequent interactions. These quick judgments draw on patterns built from past experience, cultural learning, and perhaps even evolutionary programming. A person might feel immediately comfortable or uneasy around a stranger without being able to explain why. This gut feeling represents the subconscious mind processing countless subtle cues, comparing them to stored templates of safety or threat, familiarity or strangeness. The speed and persistence of first impressions reveal how much of social interaction happens below the threshold of consciousness. We think we're getting to know people through conversation and shared experiences, and we are, but simultaneously, our subconscious minds are running their own parallel assessment process. This hidden evaluation influences everything from how closely we listen to what someone says to how much trust we're willing to extend. Beyond shaping our perceptions and judgments, the subconscious also manages countless essential bodily functions. Body temperature regulation provides a perfect example of this hidden intelligence at work. Whether you're walking through blazing heat or bitter cold, your internal temperature remains remarkably stable. This isn't luck, it's the result of sophisticated subconscious monitoring and adjustment systems. The hypothalamus, a small region in the brain, continuously tracks both internal body temperature and external environmental conditions. When it detects that you're getting too warm, it triggers sweating to cool the skin through evaporation. If you're getting too cold, it commands muscles to shiver, generating heat through rapid contractions. These responses happen automatically, without any conscious input required. This temperature regulation system demonstrates the subconscious mind's role as the body's silent engineer. While your conscious awareness might notice that you're feeling hot or cold, the precise adjustments needed to maintain optimal internal conditions happen entirely outside your control or awareness. The fact that this system works continuously, even during sleep, highlights how the subconscious never stops working to keep you alive and functioning. The elegance of these regulatory systems raises profound questions about the nature of consciousness and identity. If so much of what keeps us alive happens without our awareness or input, what exactly is the role of conscious thought? Perhaps consciousness is more like the CEO of a large corporation, setting general direction and handling special situations, while the subconscious manages day-to-day operations with remarkable competence. Even seemingly simple behaviors like blinking reveal layers of subconscious control. You blink thousands of times each day, yet you're rarely aware of it happening. This automatic process keeps your eyes moist, clears away debris, and gives your visual system brief moments of rest. While you can consciously control your blinking when you think about it, most of the time it's managed entirely by subconscious processes. Interestingly, blink rate isn't constant. It changes based on mental state, emotional condition, and cognitive load. People blink more frequently when they're stressed, tired, or processing complex information. Even subtle shifts in mood can alter blinking patterns, creating a kind of window into subconscious activity. This means that something as simple as how often you blink provides information about your hidden mental state. The fact that blinking reflects internal conditions while serving a protective function illustrates the multi-layered nature of subconscious processes. These systems don't just maintain basic biological functions, they also respond to psychological states, creating complex feedback loops between mind and body. Your emotional state influences your blink rate, which in turn might affect how others perceive you, which could then influence your emotional state in an ongoing cycle. Modern technology has revealed even more subtle ways that subconscious states express themselves through behavior. When you type, your rhythm and speed aren't just matters of technical skill or habit. They also reflect your underlying mental state in measurable ways. Stress, fatigue, excitement, or concentration all leave traces in your typing patterns, creating what researchers call keystroke dynamics. These typing signatures are so distinctive and consistent that computers can learn to recognize individual users based solely on their typing rhythm. Even more remarkably, changes in typing patterns can reveal shifts in mood or mental state, sometimes before the person is consciously aware of these changes themselves. This suggests that the subconscious influences motor control in ways that create detectable patterns in our interactions with technology. The idea that our emotional states leak into our typing patterns points to something deeper about the mind-body connection. We tend to think of typing as a purely mechanical activity, conscious thought translating into finger movements that produce words on a screen. But this view misses the subconscious layer, where emotional states, stress levels, and mental fatigue all contribute to the precise timing and pressure of each keystroke. Handwriting provides an even richer canvas for subconscious expression. The pressure you apply when writing isn't consciously controlled, yet it varies predictably with your emotional state. Under stress, most people press harder, leaving darker, more pronounced marks. During relaxed periods, the pressure typically lightens, creating softer strokes. This happens automatically, without any deliberate decision to press harder or softer. These pressure variations mean that every page you write carries not just your words, but also traces of your emotional state at the time of writing. Stress, excitement, fatigue, or calm all leave their signatures in the depth of ink impressions. While handwriting analysis remains controversial as a diagnostic tool, the basic principle is sound. Physical actions carry subconscious information. The angle or slant of handwriting provides another example of subconscious expression through motor behavior. Most people develop consistent patterns in how their letters tilt, whether rightward, leftward, or remaining upright. These slants often correlate with personality traits or emotional tendencies, though the connections aren't precise enough for definitive interpretation. What makes these handwriting characteristics particularly interesting is their unconscious nature. People don't deliberately decide the angle of each letter they write. Instead, these patterns emerge from deeper motor programs, shaped by personality, mood, and learned habits. The page becomes a place where the hidden mind expresses itself through subtle physical traces. This connection between subconscious states and physical expression extends to speech patterns as well. The rhythm, pace, and timing of how you speak reflect not just your regional accent or personal speaking style, but also your current emotional and cognitive state. Stress might speed up your speech or make it more irregular. Fatigue could slow it down or make pauses longer. Excitement might create rapid bursts followed by brief hesitations. When we engage in conversation, something remarkable happens beneath our awareness. Our voices begin to dance together in ways we never consciously choose. The rhythm of your speech starts to mirror the person across from you. Your pauses line up with theirs. Your tone shifts to match their cadence. This invisible choreography unfolds automatically, guided by circuits in the mind that value harmony above all else. Scientists studying this phenomenon find it everywhere they look. Strangers meeting for the first time fall into these patterns within minutes. Different languages, different cultures, yet the same underlying pull toward synchrony emerges. It's as if we carry an internal metronome, always listening for the beat of another person's words, always ready to fall in step. When this matching breaks down, conversations feel strained in ways we can't quite articulate. The flow becomes choppy, the connection weakens. We might blame it on personality differences or bad chemistry, but often it's simply that our hidden rhythms have fallen out of alignment. The subconscious mind, ever the diplomat, works tirelessly to keep us in sync with those around us. This same hidden architect shapes far more than our social interactions. Consider how it sculpts our experience of physical discomfort. Pain, we discover, is not simply a direct translation of tissue damage. It's an interpretation, a story the brain tells based on expectation and belief. When the subconscious anticipates suffering, it amplifies every signal, turning up the volume on sensations that might otherwise be manageable. Research reveals this in striking detail. Identical stimuli can feel drastically different depending on what the person expects. Fear primes the nervous system. Anxiety sharpens every edge. Those living with chronic pain often find themselves trapped in cycles where the subconscious keeps sounding alarms long after any real threat has passed. The body heals, but the hidden mind remains convinced that danger lurks in every movement. Yet this same system that can magnify suffering also holds the key to relief. When the subconscious expects healing, the body responds by flooding itself with natural painkillers. Endorphins flow, inflammation decreases, muscles relax. This is why sugar pills can sometimes work as well as real medicine, why the presence of a trusted doctor can ease discomfort before any treatment begins. The conscious mind might remain skeptical, but the subconscious listens to subtler cues. The ritual of taking medication, the confident voice of a healer, the familiar comfort of a treatment room, all these elements whisper to the hidden mind that relief is coming. Words of reassurance become medicine. Belief becomes biology. This intricate dance between mind and body reveals itself in countless ways throughout our daily lives. Blood pressure rises and falls not just with physical exertion, but with the emotional weather patterns detected by subconscious systems. Fear sends pressure climbing as the body prepares for battle or escape. Safety brings it down again, allowing the cardiovascular system to rest and recover. These changes often begin before we're consciously aware of any emotional shift. You might notice feeling flushed or dizzy, only after your subconscious has already responded to some perceived threat or opportunity. Chronic stress keeps this system in a state of constant alert, maintaining high pressure as if danger might strike at any moment. Meanwhile, practices that soothe the hidden mind, meditation, laughter, music, can bring pressure down naturally. Blood pressure readings become more than medical numbers. They become glimpses into our emotional landscape, shaped by forces we rarely see, but always feel. Sometimes these ancient systems make themselves visible in unexpected ways. Goosebumps rise across our skin as tiny muscles contract around hair follicles, a reflex inherited from distant ancestors whose fur could puff up to appear larger or trap more warmth. Though we no longer depend on this response for survival, the subconscious still activates it in moments of intense emotion. A haunting melody, a sudden chill, the sight of something beautiful or frightening, all can trigger this visible signature of subconscious activity. It happens automatically, before conscious recognition of what we're feeling. These bumps across our skin remind us that ancient survival circuits still fire within the hidden mind, responding to signals it deems significant. Each night, while consciousness retreats, the subconscious transforms into a meticulous librarian. Memories from the day are sorted, catalogued, strengthened through a process researchers call consolidation. Skills practiced earlier get rehearsed again, musical phrases replayed, new vocabulary reinforced, athletic movements refined through repetition in the sleeping brain. Emotional experiences receive special priority in this nightly filing system. Important lessons get preserved while trivial details fade away. Without this hidden work, memories would remain fragile, easily scattered by new experiences. Sleep deprivation interrupts this process, leaving knowledge fragmented and learning incomplete. The subconscious decides what deserves permanent storage and what can be discarded, weaving new experiences into the ongoing narrative of who we are. Even in the deepest silence, this hidden mind continues working, maintaining the vast library of memory so that each new day can build upon everything that came before. This same hidden curator shapes our perception of time itself. Hours drag during boredom, while joyful moments seem to evaporate instantly. The subconscious determines how much detail to encode from each experience, and this influences how long those moments feel in memory. Routine gets compressed, making familiar activities seem shorter, while novelty and emotional intensity get recorded with rich detail, stretching their presence in our recollection. This explains why childhood summers felt endless while adult years seem to accelerate. The subconscious writes its own version of time based not on clocks, but on meaning and attention. Fear can expand seconds into eternities, while deep focus can dissolve entire afternoons. Time, as we live it, differs dramatically from the steady tick of physics, shaped instead by the stories our hidden mind chooses to preserve. Even our emotions themselves belong first to this subconscious realm. Racing pulse, tightened muscles, warmth spreading across the face. These physical changes often begin before we can name what we're feeling. The hidden mind reacts first, preparing the body for action, while consciousness follows later to narrate and make sense of the experience. This sequence explains why emotions can feel so difficult to control. By the time we notice them consciously, they're already well underway. Learning to recognize these early physical signals can help, but emotions will always originate in ancient fast circuits, designed for survival rather than reflection. Even in the briefest moments of rest, the subconscious seeks opportunities to express itself. Microdreams lasting only seconds can occur when exhaustion allows the brain to slip momentarily into dream states. A tired student might see strange images while blinking. A weary driver might drift briefly into surreal visions before snapping back to alertness. These fleeting experiences reveal how powerful the drive to dream truly is. The subconscious seizes any chance to process imagery and emotions, even in tiny fragments of rest. Though these microdreams vanish as quickly as they arrive, they prove that the hidden mind never fully stops its work of rehearsal, experimentation, and imagination. All these phenomena point to a profound truth about human experience. We are far more than our conscious thoughts and deliberate actions. Beneath the surface of awareness lies a vast network of processes that shape everything from how we connect with others, to how we feel pain, from how we remember the past, to how we experience the passage of time itself. This hidden mind, evolved over millions of years, continues to guide us through each day with wisdom we're only beginning to understand. The mind holds trauma in ways that go far beyond what we can easily remember or describe. When something terrible happens to us, it doesn't get stored like a normal memory would. Instead, it breaks apart into pieces, scattered fragments of sound, smell, touch, and raw emotion that float around in the deeper parts of our minds. This is why a certain song, or the smell of rain, or even just a particular tone of voice can suddenly throw someone back into a moment of terror, even when they know, logically, that they're perfectly safe right now. There's something almost mysterious about how these fragments work. They don't follow the rules of regular thinking. They exist in a space where time doesn't quite make sense, where past and present can blur together in an instant. It makes you wonder about the nature of memory itself, how we carry our experiences, not just as stories we tell ourselves, but as living sensations that can wake up at any moment. Certain types of therapy have learned to speak this hidden language. Instead of trying to reason with trauma, they work directly with these deeper layers of the mind. They use techniques that might seem strange at first, like following a light with your eyes while thinking about difficult memories, or creating vivid mental images that help reorganize how experiences are stored. The goal isn't to erase what happened. That would be impossible anyway, but to help the mind file these memories in a way that feels safer, less urgent, less likely to hijack the present moment. The fascinating thing is how much our hidden minds prefer rhythm and repetition over explanation. Over-explanation. You can tell someone 1,000 times how to ride a bicycle, describe every principle of balance and momentum, but until their body practices the motion over and over, the knowledge remains theoretical. The deeper layers of consciousness, learned through doing, through the slow carving of grooves that eventually become automatic pathways. This is how a pianist's fingers seem to know where to go before their conscious mind has even processed the notes on the page. It's how a child learns to speak, not by studying grammar rules, but by hearing the same sounds and patterns repeated endlessly until they become natural. Every habit, whether helpful or destructive, follows this same pattern. The subconscious doesn't judge whether something is good or bad for you. It simply absorbs what you do most often and makes it easier to do again. Athletes have discovered something remarkable about this process. They've learned that the mind can be trained almost like a muscle, through a kind of practice that happens entirely in imagination. When a basketball player sits quietly and visualizes making free throws, picturing every detail, the arc of the ball, the sound it makes going through the net, the feel of the ball leaving their hands, their brain activates many of the same circuits, as if they were actually shooting. Studies have shown that this mental rehearsal, when combined with physical practice, creates faster improvement than either approach alone. It's as if the subconscious treats these imagined experiences as real rehearsals, building confidence and coordination. In a space that exists only in the mind, athletes often describe a feeling during competition that their body already knows what to do, that they've been here before even when they haven't. The subconscious has been practicing in secret. This reveals something profound about how the hidden mind processes reality. It doesn't always distinguish sharply between what's literal and what's symbolic. When we use metaphors in everyday speech, calling someone's personality warm or describing a burden as heavy, the subconscious responds as if these words carry physical meaning. People actually feel warmer when surrounded by warm language, or judge situations as more serious when heavy metaphors are used. This blending of symbolic and real explains why stories and poetry can move us so deeply. They speak directly to parts of the mind that don't stop to analyze whether something is literally true. A good story doesn't just convey information, it creates experience. The subconscious responds to the imagery and emotion as if it were happening, which is why you can feel your heart racing during a suspenseful movie, even though you know it's just actors on a screen. Most of human communication actually happens without words at all. While people are speaking, their bodies are having an entirely separate conversation through posture, gesture, tone, and countless micro-expressions. The remarkable thing is how automatically we read these signals. You often know how someone is feeling before they've said a word, picking up on subtle cues that your conscious mind might not even notice. A genuine smile engages muscles around the eyes in a way that a polite smile doesn't. Crossed arms might signal defensiveness, or maybe just being cold, but the subconscious makes these assessments instantly, assembling tiny details into impressions of trustworthiness, openness, and potential threat. These judgments happen so fast that by the time you're consciously thinking about someone, your deeper mind has already decided how to feel about them. This extends into an almost supernatural ability to predict what others will do next. Human movements contain subtle preparation signals, tiny shifts in weight, or changes in gaze that precede action by fractions of a second. In sports, this predictive ability can make the difference between winning and losing. A tennis player reading their opponent's serve, a boxer anticipating a punch. They're not just reacting to what they see, they're responding to what they unconsciously know is about to happen. But this skill isn't limited to athletics. Everyday life is full of these tiny predictions. Stepping aside just before someone bumps into you in a crowded hallway, knowing when someone in a conversation is about to speak. The conscious mind usually catches up afterward, constructing explanations for what felt like intuition, but the subconscious was already 3 steps ahead. Being part of a group triggers deep, automatic responses that most people never think about consciously. Humans are fundamentally social creatures, and the hidden mind constantly seeks belonging and acceptance. This creates subtle pressures that can shape behavior, opinions, and even physical posture without any deliberate decision-making. Laughter spreads through groups not because everyone consciously decides to laugh, but because the subconsciously mirrors what it sees and hears. People unconsciously adopt similar postures to those around them. Opinions drift toward consensus not always through reasoned debate, but through the quiet pressure of wanting to belong. Experiments have shown that people will sometimes agree with a group even when they know the group is wrong, guided by subconscious calculations about the social cost of standing apart. This isn't necessarily good or bad, it's simply how humans are wired. The same impulse that can lead to harmful conformity also creates the bonds that hold communities together. Shared laughter, synchronized movement, collective joy. These experiences depend on the subconscious willingness to merge temporarily with others. Laughter itself often begins not as a response to humor, but as a social signal. People laugh to show they're part of a moment, to ease tension, to invite connection. Sometimes you'll find yourself laughing in a group even when nothing particularly funny has happened, because the subconscious is responding to the social context rather than to actual comedy. It's announcing to everyone around, and to yourself, that you belong here, that you're not alone in this moment. Fear operates in these hidden spaces too, and it can influence major decisions in ways that people rarely recognize. Political choices, for instance, are often shaped by subconscious responses to threat and safety long before any rational analysis occurs. Messages that emphasize danger, instability, or uncertainty speak directly to ancient circuits in the brain that prioritize survival above all else. Even when voters believe they're making carefully reasoned choices based on policies and principles, their deeper minds may have already been swayed by appeals to fear or security. This isn't necessarily manipulation, though it can be. It's simply recognition that human decision-making happens on multiple levels simultaneously, and the emotional subconscious level often has the first and strongest voice. The world of advertising has become incredibly sophisticated about reaching these deeper layers of the mind. Colors, for instance, carry emotional weight that the subconscious processes instantly. Red creates feelings of urgency and excitement. Blue suggests trust and stability. Green evokes growth and nature. These aren't arbitrary associations. They're patterns that get absorbed through cultural learning and evolutionary history. Advertisers design everything from logos to store layouts with these color associations in mind, knowing that people form impressions about brands and products within seconds, often based more on these subconscious responses than on any logical evaluation of quality or valuation. The hidden mind is constantly having conversations with the environment through color, texture, sound, and space. Conversations that influence preference and behavior before conscious thought even gets involved. Even something as basic as hearing depends on constant subconscious filtering that most people never think about. At any given moment, you're surrounded by countless sounds: air conditioning, distant traffic, footsteps, conversations, electronic hums. If your conscious mind had to process all of this equally, it would be overwhelmed into paralysis. Instead, the subconscious acts as an incredibly sophisticated gatekeeper, automatically sorting the important from the unimportant. It filters out the steady drone of background noise, while remaining alert for anything that might matter. Your name being called, a sudden loud crash, a change in someone's tone that suggests emotion. This filtering creates the calm, manageable soundscape that consciousness experiences, even in the middle of what is actually acoustic chaos. This quiet work of the hidden mind, constantly sorting and organizing experience, reveals something beautiful about how we navigate the world. So much of what feels like simple, direct experience is actually the result of incredibly complex processes happening below the surface, processes that shape perception, emotion, behavior, and choice in ways both profound and subtle. The conscious mind often gets credit for human intelligence and decision-making, but it's really more like the spokesperson for a vast hidden democracies of mental processes, most of which we never directly encounter, but which collectively create the experience of being human. There's something fascinating about our internal clock, this quiet timekeeper that operates below the surface of awareness. When you decide to wake up at a specific hour, something deeper than your conscious mind takes that instruction seriously. Your subconscious begins orchestrating subtle changes throughout the night. Cortisol levels shift their rhythm, body temperature adjusts its natural curve. The very threshold for waking becomes lighter, more responsive. People often describe waking just moments before their alarm sounds, as if some hidden part of themselves counted the hours perfectly. This isn't coincidence, it's biology working with intention. The subconscious mind tracks circadian rhythms, monitors hormone cycles, picks up on environmental cues we never consciously notice. It remembers patterns too, learning from weeks and months of consistent wake times, then predicting when the next one should arrive. Travelers sometimes experience this in strange ways, waking at their usual home time, despite being thousands of miles away. The conscious mind may be confused by new surroundings, but that inner clock keeps ticking to its familiar beat. Even in the deepest sleep, something stays alert, listening for the promise you made before closing your eyes. Sleep reveals something profound about how we're constructed. What feels like shutdown is actually a different kind of awareness, a hidden steward managing the body's needs, while dreams carry the conscious mind elsewhere. This same guardian processes much more than time. It sorts through the day's experiences, files away memories, sometimes bringing up things we thought were long forgotten. Dreams often become theaters where the subconscious speaks in its own language, using images instead of arguments, symbols instead of explanations. When childhood experiences were too intense for a young mind to process fully, fragments can remain stored below awareness for years, even decades. These pieces surface later in sleep, transformed into metaphors that carry the emotional weight of what happened. The faceless figure in a recurring dream, the hallway that seems to stretch forever, the door that won't open no matter how hard you push. These aren't random creations. They're the subconscious mind's way of rehearsing feelings, of nudging the waking self to notice what was buried. Dreams become invitations rather than punishments, opportunities for the hidden mind to share what it's been carrying alone. Therapies that take dream material seriously help translate these symbols back into language the conscious mind can work with. Over time, those unsettling dreamscapes often soften as the same protective mechanisms that once hid pain begin to heal by bringing it gently into awareness. The connection between mind and body runs deeper than most people realize. Your immune system actually listens to your hidden expectations, responding to hope, trust, and feelings of safety by easing emergency signals and devoting more resources to repair. When the subconscious believes improvement is possible, the brain releases chemical messengers that help modulate immunity, reduce inflammation, allow the body to recalibrate toward health. This shows up clearly in research on placebo effects. When someone genuinely expects to feel better, their physiology often follows that expectation. The belief doesn't cure illness directly, but it creates conditions where healing becomes more efficient. Chronic unspoken fear works in the opposite direction, keeping stress hormones elevated, making immune defenses sluggish over time. This isn't about blaming anyone for getting sick. It's about recognizing how deeply the mind and immune system communicate. Rituals of care, trustworthy relationships, soothing daily routines all teach the subconscious that help is present, that safety exists. The body responds by acting less like a fortress under siege, more like a workshop focused on repairing what needs attention. Visual processing reveals another layer of subconscious sophistication. Before you can explain why a face seems balanced or a pattern feels pleasing, specialized circuits in your brain have already measured symmetry, spacing, proportions. These systems deliver immediate feelings of harmony that consciousness later translates into concepts like beautiful or correct. This swift detection probably evolved because symmetry signals health in living creatures, stability in environments. Artists and architects understand this intuitively, arranging forms that the subconscious recognizes as orderly long before words can describe why. Experiments show people can identify symmetric patterns even when images flash too briefly for conscious description, evidence that the hidden mind evaluates structure first, asks questions later. Interestingly, slightly broken symmetry can be even more engaging than perfect balance. The subconscious notices the rule, feels tension from the exception, invites the conscious mind to linger and examine more closely. That sense of something fitting just right is your hidden awareness reporting in its most compressed form. Movement detection operates through similar background processes. That tingle when someone enters a room, the urge to turn before footsteps become audible. These come from constant silent surveillance by systems you're rarely aware of. Peripheral vision tracks motion and contrast at the edges of sight, while tiny shifts in air pressure, sound waves, shadow patterns get sampled and compared against vast libraries of learned expectation. Consciousness receives only the summary, a vague feeling that something moved or changed. This sensitivity kept our ancestors alive among predators and uncertain terrain. Today, it helps navigate busy streets, crowded spaces, alerts us to bicyclists approaching from blind spots. The system prioritizes speed over certainty, sometimes delivering false alarms, but the cost of a quick glance is small compared to catching real changes when they matter. What feels like intuition is often surveillance data gathered by the subconscious, compressed into a simple nudge to look somewhere, pay attention to something specific. Pattern recognition happens at levels below awareness too. You can absorb complex rules you could never state explicitly. Psychologists call this implicit learning, the process by which people begin predicting what comes next in structured sequences while insisting they're just guessing randomly. The subconscious tallies frequencies, spots regularities, stores them as tendencies rather than textbook definitions. Children internalize grammar this way, long before they can explain grammatical rules. Musicians anticipate chord progressions they never studied formally. Experienced drivers read traffic flow without consciously calculating anything. They just know when to merge, when to slow down, when something feels wrong about the car, 3 lanes over. The hidden mind excels at this because it samples broadly, forgets slowly, notices what repeats, weights what matters most, smooths exceptions into practical expectations. Conscious study certainly helps, but the deepest fluency arrives when subconscious systems have had time to practice undisturbed. Then under pressure, knowledge surfaces as effortless knowing. The right word appears, the correct note sounds, the proper response happens, and only afterward does consciousness build explanations for how it knew. Attention itself gets managed by processes we rarely notice. While you focus on reading or listening, the subconscious actively dampens irrelevant sounds, dims peripheral movement, lowers the salience of wandering thoughts, so concentration can continue. This suppression isn't rigid though, it flexes with context. A sudden crash, someone calling your name, unexpected motion gets escalated to awareness immediately. The hidden mind constantly negotiates this balance, preserving focus when safe, breaking it when necessary. With practice, these filtering systems grow stronger. Familiar workspaces, predictable routines, consistent rituals teach the subconscious when to hold the line against distraction. Chronic stress does the opposite, loosening the gates, letting interruptions stream through unchecked. Understanding this helps explain why simple interventions work so well. A brief walk, few deep breaths, minute of silence can restore mental clarity by resetting these background filters. Focus isn't just willpower. It's also skillful collaboration with vigilant unseen systems constantly working to protect your attention. Even word choice in conversation gets shaped by subconscious processes. Before sentences reach your lips, hidden systems sift through options with remarkable speed, sampling context, audience, goals, then nudging selection toward words that fit the situation. The right tone appears without deliberation, appropriate phrases surface naturally. Diplomatic language emerges when wisdom calls for it. This linguistic machinery draws on enormous stores of remembered conversations, phrases absorbed from books, tones picked up from countless interactions. It also monitors listeners in real time, updating choices based on micro-reactions, raised eyebrows, slight changes in posture, smiles that reach the eyes or stop at the mouth. Fluency feels effortless because hidden systems draft ahead of consciousness, editing for rhythm and meaning, while the aware self tracks overall direction. Occasionally, the process slips, letting stray words reveal more than intended. Most of the time, though, the collaboration creates seamless flow, language crafted by systems working faster than awareness can follow. Professional intuition offers another window into subconscious expertise. The firefighter who calls retreat from a room that looks normal, the doctor who orders additional tests without clear medical reasoning, the chess player who senses danger in a quiet position. These aren't mystical leaps. They're outputs from vast, well-trained pattern libraries built through years of experience. Subconscious systems catalog thousands of situations, outcomes, subtle cues, then compress that knowledge into rapid felt judgments. A slight change in heat distribution, unusual tension in a patient's voice, the positioning of pieces that suggests hidden threats. The answer arrives first, as feeling, explanation follows later. Because this process operates below awareness, it improves through experience and honest feedback. The more these hidden systems observe, the more cleanly results confirm or correct their signals, the more trustworthy their guidance becomes. Professional intuition deserves respect, like consulting with a skilled colleague whose reasoning you can't fully trace but whose track record speaks for itself. The subconscious mind emerges from all this as something far more sophisticated than we typically imagine. A vast network of systems processing information, learning patterns, managing attention, orchestrating responses, all while consciousness focuses elsewhere. It's a reminder that human awareness operates on multiple levels simultaneously, most of them hidden from direct observation, but constantly influencing what we think, feel, and do. The quiet operations of your mind make decisions long before you realize anything has happened. Deep beneath conscious thought, neural networks weave together information from across your body, creating experiences you assume just appear naturally. When blood sugar dips slightly, your hypothalamus notices. When hormones from your stomach shift their chemical conversation, specialized receptors pick up the signals. Your brain's hidden systems track the time since your last meal, monitor how full your digestive tract feels, and cross-reference everything with learned patterns about when food usually arrives. All of this biological accounting happens without any awareness on your part. The final product emerges into consciousness as what we simply call hunger, but it represents a sophisticated calculation involving dozens of variables your thinking mind never sees. Your subconscious mind learns to associate certain environments with eating. The smell of coffee brewing, the sight of a familiar restaurant, even just walking past the kitchen at your usual lunchtime can trigger hunger signals. These learned cues can actually make you feel hungry, even when your body has plenty of stored energy available. Sleep deprivation scrambles these finely tuned systems. When you haven't rested enough, your body starts asking for quick energy more frequently, sending stronger signals for fast-burning foods. Chronic stress does something similar, shifting the sensitivity of hunger signals and making your internal communication less reliable. There's something almost philosophical about this hidden negotiation between body and mind. You experience desires that feel entirely your own, but they've already been shaped by biological processes you can't directly access. Understanding this invisible influence can make self-care feel less like fighting against yourself and more like cooperation with systems that are genuinely trying to help. Regular meal timing teaches your subconscious that food is dependable. When these deeper systems trust that nutrition will arrive predictably, hunger becomes more like a gentle suggestion rather than an urgent alarm. The internal conversation becomes easier to interpret. Food cravings aren't always just random desires or the result of clever marketing. Sometimes your body actually knows what it needs and asks for it through taste preferences. After heavy sweating, you might find yourself drawn to salty foods because your sodium levels have dropped. When you're dehydrated or lacking fresh nutrients, citrus fruits might suddenly seem appealing. Following intense physical activity, your subconscious might guide you toward protein-rich textures because your muscles need building blocks for repair. This hidden intelligence monitors your internal status constantly, matching current needs with remembered experiences of what provided relief in similar situations. The suggestion arrives wrapped in the language of taste and preference, but it's actually carrying information about your body's current requirements. Modern processed foods can confuse this ancient system by delivering intense flavors without the corresponding nutritional payoff that your brain expects. Over time, if the expected nutrients don't arrive after eating foods with strong flavor signals, your subconscious learns to chase sensations that don't actually satisfy the underlying need. This creates a cycle where cravings become less trustworthy guides to what your body actually requires. Gentle structure in eating patterns can help recalibrate this relationship. Balanced meals with consistent timing and mindful attention to how foods actually make you feel can retrain the associations between craving and genuine nourishment. When your subconscious perceives threat, even subtle stress, it fundamentally changes how your brain handles memory. The system makes a practical choice, prioritizing immediate survival awareness over the more delicate work of storing and retrieving detailed information. Stress hormones sharpen your focus on immediate threats, but they also disrupt the hippocampus, which functions like a librarian for your memories. During exams or important presentations, you might find that information you definitely know feels completely inaccessible, as if it's locked behind a door that won't open. The knowledge is usually still there, but the stress response has temporarily interfered with your brain's filing and retrieval system. Chronic tension makes this problem even worse, scattering attention and making details feel slippery and unreliable. The solution often needs to begin before the stressful moment arrives. Practice under conditions that mimic pressure can teach your nervous system that the challenging situation isn't actually dangerous. Breathing techniques that emphasize longer exhales can signal safety to your subconscious systems. Consistent routines before stressful events can help your deeper mind recognize that a test or presentation isn't the same as facing a genuine threat. When the automatic threat assessment becomes less intense, your mental librarian can return to normal operations, making stored information available again. Memory isn't just about storage capacity. It's also about having internal systems that feel safe enough to hand over what you're asking for. The confidence of retrieval depends on your subconscious sense of security. Sound carries a unique power to embed itself in memory with lasting intensity. Your nervous system can tag certain sounds with such urgency that they remain active triggers for decades. A door slamming during a terrifying argument, a specific siren from a traumatic night, even a particular phone ringtone that once carried devastating news. When your subconscious pairs a sound with survival chemistry, that connection gets stored with exceptional strength. The system wants to make sure future danger isn't missed, so it creates what amounts to an audio alarm that can activate instantly when the same sound appears again. Years later, hearing that same sound can open the stored file immediately. Your heart might race, muscles tense, and attention narrow dramatically, even when your current environment is completely safe. This represents your protective systems working exactly as designed, though perhaps more thoroughly than necessary. The memory file isn't actually erased over time, but the reflexive grip can gradually loosen. Desensitization approaches work by teaching new associations, deliberately hearing the triggering sound in calm settings, pairing it with relaxed breathing, or layering it under comforting music. This process helps your body learn a different story about what the sound means. Slowly, the volume of the internal alarm can decrease, making the world feel a little less filled with hidden traps set by echoes from the past. The words we heard as children, those casual comments about our efforts and abilities, they don't just fade away into memory. They settle deep into our minds, becoming the quiet foundation of how we see ourselves. When a parent praises the way we worked through a problem, rather than just calling us smart, something interesting happens in our developing brain. The subconscious starts to believe that growth is possible, that struggle leads to improvement. The praise can work the other way too. When we're constantly told we're naturally gifted, the hidden parts of our mind can develop a fear of making mistakes. After all, if we're supposed to be naturally good at something, what does it mean when we struggle? The subconscious doesn't reason through these things the way our conscious mind does. It just absorbs the patterns. Criticism works similarly, but in reverse. Constant negative feedback gets encoded as doubt, as a quiet voice that questions our worth. These voices from childhood, they don't disappear when we grow up. They continue speaking, sometimes offering encouragement that helps steady our hands during difficult moments, sometimes whispering suggestions that maybe we should just give up. The fascinating thing about our brains, though, is that they remain changeable throughout our lives. The same plasticity that allowed those childhood messages to take root, it also allows us to plant new seeds, specific self-affirmations, the kind tied to real actions we've taken. They can actually update the internal script. When we combine these with evidence of our progress, and maybe some support from people we trust, the subconscious starts to believe the new story we're telling. This brings up something profound about human nature. The stories we repeat to ourselves, they literally become the reality we experience. With enough patience and consistency, even that hidden narrator in our minds can learn to tell a different tale. One where we're capable, where we're learning, where we're allowed to try again without judgment. Our bodies tell stories too, often ones we don't intend to share. While we can carefully choose our words, our muscles operate on a different timeline. The subconscious controls those tiny facial expressions and subtle shifts in posture, and it works much faster than our conscious attempts at control. When there's a conflict between what we're saying and what we're feeling, small signs start to appear. A smile might not quite reach the eyes. A shoulder might tense up just as we're denying something. Someone might glance toward the exit without even realizing it. None of these signs prove anything by themselves, but when they cluster together, they suggest that something isn't quite aligned inside. People who are skilled at reading others, they don't look for single telltale signs. They watch for changes from someone's normal behavior. They consider the context and the timing. The goal isn't to catch people in lies, but to understand what's happening beneath the surface. The hidden mind might be signaling discomfort, fear, or simply the mental effort required to construct a story that isn't quite true. When someone is being honest, their speech, their tone, and their body language usually work together without much effort. When they don't align, approaching with curiosity tends to work better than accusations. The subconscious is always communicating something. It responds better when it feels heard rather than trapped. There's something almost conversational about the way our hidden minds interact with the world, constantly sending signals that most of us never consciously notice. Memory itself operates on multiple levels, and one of the most remarkable examples is how we drive familiar routes. That experience of arriving somewhere and barely remembering the journey, it's not absent-mindedness. It's actually a sophisticated form of expertise. Through repetition, our subconscious has compressed complex sequences, checking mirrors, signaling, merging, scanning for hazards, into smooth routines that run almost automatically. This frees up our conscious attention for other things, planning the day, enjoying music, thinking about what to make for dinner. The same automation that makes daily commutes manageable, though, it can also create a vulnerability to inability to unexpected situations. That's why our hidden monitoring system also stays alert for anomalies. A sudden flash of brake lights, a pedestrian stepping wider than usual, the reflection of a bicycle appearing in the mirror. When something novel appears, attention snaps back to full awareness. This autopilot mode isn't actually inattention. It's expertise being allocated efficiently. The conscious and subconscious minds working together, each handling what they do best. Respecting this natural division of labor means pairing routine tasks with adequate rest, limiting unnecessary distractions, and occasionally refreshing familiar routes when boredom starts to dull our vigilance. The safest approach combines a well-trained subconscious with a conscious mind that's ready to fully engage when the situation calls for it. Even in sleep, our subconscious remains active in fascinating ways. Sleep paralysis offers a window into this hidden activity, showing us how our minds continue processing even when our bodies are temporarily disconnected from conscious control. When you drift into dream states, your brain performs a remarkable protective function. It sends signals that essentially freeze your voluntary muscles in place. This keeps you from acting out whatever adventures or scenarios play in your sleeping mind. Without this system, you might find yourself walking, running, or gesturing while completely unconscious. Sometimes, though, this careful coordination gets a bit mixed up. Your awareness starts returning to the waking world, but your body stays locked in that protective paralysis. This creates what we call sleep paralysis, and it's genuinely unsettling when it happens. Your breathing feels labored and difficult. Strange shapes or figures might seem to hover near your bed or lurk in the corners of your vision. People across different cultures have been experiencing this phenomenon for thousands of years. They've given it all sorts of names and explanations. Some called these nighttime visitors, demons, or spirits. Others described them as witches or shadow people. The human mind, when confronted with something it can't immediately understand, tends to fill in the gaps with stories. The reality is much more straightforward, though no less fascinating. What's happening is that your REM sleep paralysis is simply lingering a bit longer than usual. Meanwhile, your subconscious mind is still churning out vivid imagery, the kind that normally only exists safely within dreams. These two processes overlapping creates this strange in-between state. Understanding the mechanics behind sleep paralysis can actually help reduce the fear it causes. When you know what's happening, the experience becomes less mysterious and threatening. Your sleep patterns play a big role in whether this occurs. Gentle, consistent bedtime routines help stabilize the delicate timing involved. Stress tends to disrupt these natural rhythms, so managing daily pressures makes a difference. Abrupt awakenings, like from loud alarms or sudden noises, can also increase the chances of this timing mismatch. If you do find yourself in sleep paralysis, there are small things that can help. Focusing on slow, deliberate exhales can calm your nervous system. Tiny movements work better than trying to move your whole body. Wiggling just a finger or a toe sends signals that gradually wake up the rest of your motor control system. The key thing to remember is that this state always passes. Your brain's protective mechanism just needs an extra moment to hand the controls back to your conscious mind. It's the same system that keeps you safe every single night, just taking its time to fully disengage. Your subconscious mind operates in fascinating ways beyond sleep as well. It can trigger sudden physical reactions that seem to come from nowhere. Those chills that cascade down your spine, they're actually your body's way of creating emphasis. Your subconscious has processed something significant and wants to make sure you don't miss it. This might happen when you're walking down a quiet, empty hallway and something feels off. Or when you hear a particular combination of musical notes that strikes you as especially beautiful. Maybe you're reading something and a particular sentence hits you with unexpected power. In each case, your autonomic nervous system springs into action. Blood vessels near the surface of your skin constrict slightly. Tiny muscles attached to your hair follicles contract, creating that familiar feeling of raised bumps. Your skin becomes more sensitive, almost electric. This whole reaction happens incredibly quickly, often before your conscious mind has even figured out why. Fear can certainly trigger these chills, but so can awe, deep sadness, or encounters with beauty. The subconscious mind prioritizes meaning over rational explanation. It's constantly scanning your environment and experiences, looking for things that matter. When it finds something significant, it doesn't wait for your logical mind to catch up before responding. You'll often find yourself saying something gave you chills before you can fully articulate why. The feeling comes first, the understanding follows. Rather than dismissing these moments as random physical quirks, they're worth paying attention to. They're essentially flags that your deeper mind is waving, signals that something important just passed through your awareness. Your subconscious is always comparing what's happening right now with everything you've experienced before. It's looking for patterns, connections, and meanings that your conscious mind might overlook. When it spots something noteworthy, it uses your body as a communication device, writing that quick icy signature across your skin to make sure the moment registers fully. Memory works like a vast filing cabinet that never stops organizing every single moment of every day. When something new enters our awareness, our minds immediately start flipping through these mental files, searching for anything that feels familiar. It's happening right now as you listen, without you even knowing it. The human brain stores these reference points everywhere, scattered across different regions like a library with books on every shelf. Voices get filed away in one area, faces in another, smells in yet another corner of our neural architecture. Scientists call this process pattern matching, and it happens faster than conscious thought can even begin to form. Here's something fascinating about how this works. When you hear a stranger's laugh, your brain might instantly compare it to your grandmother's chuckle from decades ago. The match doesn't have to be perfect, just close enough to trigger that sense of familiarity. Sometimes a person's walking rhythm reminds you of someone you knew in school, or the way sunlight hits a wall brings back a moment you thought you'd forgotten completely. This system evolved for survival, really. Our ancestors needed to quickly identify whether that rustling in the bushes sounded like the same predator from last week, or whether a person's facial expression matched the warning signs they'd learned to recognize. Speed mattered more than perfect accuracy when life or death decisions had to be made in milliseconds. But modern life presents us with a curious paradox. This ancient protective mechanism, designed to keep us alive on dangerous savannas, now operates in coffee shops and office buildings. Your nervous system might react to your boss's email tone the same way it would respond to an actual physical threat, even though no real danger exists. The templates our minds create become incredibly detailed over time. They include not just visual or auditory information, but emotional undertones, contextual clues, even the time of day when certain experiences typically occurred. A particular combination of afternoon light and air temperature might instantly transport someone back to their childhood bedroom, complete with all the feelings they had during that period of their life. What's particularly interesting is how these mental comparisons happen below the threshold of awareness. You might feel inexplicably comfortable with a new acquaintance, not realizing their speech patterns remind you of a trusted friend. Or you could feel uneasy in a perfectly safe environment because something subtle about it matches a template associated with past difficulties. The precision of this matching system can be almost supernatural. People often report knowing something felt familiar without being able to identify exactly what triggered that recognition. A combination of factors, maybe the quality of light, plus a certain sound, plus a particular smell, creates a match so specific that conscious memory can't quite pin it down. Sometimes these comparisons create what psychologists call false pattern recognition. Your mind might identify a threat that isn't really there, or feel comfort in a situation that actually requires more caution. The system prioritizes quick responses over perfect accuracy, which means it occasionally gets things wrong. But there's something almost poetic about how our brains weave past and present together. Every new experience gets filtered through this enormous collection of previous moments, creating a kind of layered reality where nothing is ever encountered completely fresh. We're always seeing the world through this lens of accumulated experience. The emotional component of these templates runs incredibly deep. A scent might trigger not just the memory of a place, but the exact emotional state you were in when you first encountered it. The brain packages these elements together so tightly that recalling one automatically brings back the others. This is why changing deeply ingrained reactions can feel so challenging. When a current situation matches an old template, especially one connected to strong emotions, the brain automatically loads up all the associated responses. It's like your nervous system is constantly saying, "This situation is similar to that previous one, so we should probably respond the same way we did before." Recognition of this process opens up fascinating possibilities for growth and change. When someone begins to notice these automatic comparisons happening, they create space between the triggered response and their conscious choice about how to react. It's like becoming aware of the brain's background processing for the first time. The beautiful thing about neural plasticity is that these templates can actually be updated with new information. When safe experiences contradict old patterns, the brain gradually revises its filing system. A template that once signaled danger might slowly be updated to include more nuanced possibilities. This updating process requires repetition though. One positive experience usually isn't enough to override a strong negative template. The brain needs multiple examples of the new pattern before it trusts enough to revise its automatic responses. It's like providing evidence that gradually builds a case for a different interpretation. What emerges from understanding this process is a kind of compassion for the protective mechanisms of the mind. These instant comparisons aren't obstacles to overcome, but rather an ancient wisdom system trying to help us navigate complexity. The goal isn't to eliminate these automatic responses, but to help them become more accurate and flexible. There's something profound about realizing that every moment of perception is actually a conversation between past and present. We're never really experiencing anything in complete isolation, but always through this rich context of accumulated memory. In a way, every new experience becomes part of an ongoing dialogue with all the experiences that came before it. Your brain never truly takes a break from learning, even when you think it has clocked out for the day. While your conscious mind might be focused on scrolling through your phone or staring out the window during a boring meeting, there's this whole other system running in the background, quietly doing its job. The subconscious mind operates like a dedicated night shift worker, sorting through all the information that came in during the day, filing it away, making connections you didn't even know were possible. This hidden processing system doesn't just organize memories, it actively strengthens them. Every time you practice something, whether it's playing guitar or learning a new language, your conscious mind gets the credit. But the real work happens later. Hours after you've put down the guitar, your subconscious is still rehearsing those chord progressions, making the neural pathways stronger and more efficient. It's like having a personal trainer for your brain cells, working out while you sleep. The most fascinating part is how solutions to problems seem to appear out of nowhere. You've probably experienced this yourself, struggling with something difficult, then suddenly having the answer pop into your head while you're in the shower or taking a walk. That's not magic, that's your subconscious mind doing what it does best. It takes all the pieces of information you've been consciously wrestling with and starts combining them in new ways, testing different possibilities until something clicks. Sleep plays a crucial role in this whole process. While you're dreaming about flying or showing up to work in your pajamas, your brain is busy consolidating everything you learned that day. Skills that felt clunky and awkward yesterday somehow feel smoother the next morning. This is why cramming for exams right before the test isn't as effective as studying over time and getting good sleep in between. Your brain needs those quiet hours to properly install the new information. Even when you're not actively trying to learn something, your brain is picking up patterns and storing them away. Background exposure to a foreign language, listening to jazz while working, watching someone demonstrate a craft, all of this gets absorbed and filed away as familiarity. Later, when you actually sit down to learn Spanish or try to play piano, there's already a foundation there, built from all those casual exposures you barely noticed. This is why taking breaks from difficult problems actually helps solve them. When you step away and do something completely different, you're not giving up, you're making space for your subconscious to work without interference. The conscious mind can be a bit of a control freak, wanting to force solutions through sheer willpower, but the subconscious operates differently. It needs room to explore and make unexpected connections. The emotional environment matters more than most people realize. When your subconscious feels safe and unthreatened, it's willing to take risks, to try new combinations of ideas, to venture into unfamiliar territory. But when it feels pressured or criticized, it retreats back to old, familiar patterns. This is why being harsh with yourself during learning often backfires. Your hidden mind responds better to patience and gentle encouragement than to harsh criticism. Think about how a child learns to walk. They don't consciously analyze the biomechanics of balance and forward motion. Their subconscious observes, experiments, falls down, gets back up, and gradually figures out the complex coordination required. The conscious mind would probably overcomplicate the whole process if it tried to take charge. Sometimes the best thing we can do is trust that deeper intelligence and get out of its way. The subconscious also handles the maintenance work that keeps everything running smoothly. While you're focused on your daily tasks, it's monitoring your heartbeat, regulating your temperature, tracking threats in your environment, and managing thousands of other processes that would overwhelm your conscious attention. It's like having a highly skilled building superintendent taking care of all the behind-the-scenes work so you can focus on living your life. Memory formation isn't just about storing facts. It's about creating a coherent story of who you are and how the world works. Your subconscious weaves together experiences, emotions, and knowledge into patterns that guide your future decisions. This is why sometimes you'll have a gut feeling about someone or something, even when you can't logically explain why. Your hidden mind has picked up on subtle cues and patterns that your conscious awareness missed. The relationship between conscious and subconscious learning is like a dance between two different types of intelligence. The conscious mind excels at focused attention, logical analysis, and deliberate practice. The subconscious specializes in pattern recognition, emotional processing, and creative synthesis. When they work together smoothly, learning becomes almost effortless. When they're in conflict, progress stalls. This partnership explains why insight often feels like it comes from outside ourselves. You're struggling with a creative project or trying to solve a technical problem, and suddenly the answer just appears, fully formed. It didn't actually come from outside. It came from that part of your mind that works below the threshold of awareness, patiently assembling pieces until the puzzle is complete. Understanding this process can change how you approach learning and problem solving. Instead of trying to force everything through conscious effort, you can learn to work with your subconscious mind, giving it the time, space, and material it needs to do its job. It's a different way of thinking about intelligence, one that honors both the spotlight of conscious attention and the vast quiet intelligence that operates in the shadows.